Hey guys, how we doing? It's the Bigs Podcast episode number 44. And today we are going to talk about the week that was in week 21, which was the final week of our regular season in the Bigs. Really weird, exciting, crazy week that we just experienced. And with me tonight to break it all down, Jason Ashby from Denver, Colorado. How you doing, Jason?
Mr. Haber, I'm doing just fine. Yeah, what a week it was. A lot of close scores. Kind of didn't really there weren't as many twists and turns as I think we might have were expecting that could have happened. Everything kind of played out the way that it looked like it was going to, and
Mm.
now we have our top six. And congrats to you on being part of that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm happy and comfortable in my four seed. And yeah, I echo what you just said. Like, I feel like in previous years, or at least like the past 2, 3, maybe even 4 years, there was like a team that just snuck in at the very end, with
Yeah,
a huge lopsided win, and it didn't happen this year, but that doesn't mean it's not
it was still
exciting.
crazy. Just
Yeah,
a build up to get to where that was. It was just an amazing ride. So
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
2022 will go down as definitely one of the craziest seasons that the Bigs have seen.
Yes, yes, and congrats to you because you get to keep playing fantasy baseball as well.
Yes, and you know what? Take it for what it is. Consolation bracket is still a bracket, and you know what? I'm gonna play my heart out.
Yeah, yeah. Play till
I, I,
the
I get no ads, but you know what? I made the moves I needed to make sure that I had a roster that I can compete with, and I'm gonna compete.
Yeah, and I can't wait to break down your moves from this week because I noticed a lot of those last
Yep.
minute drops you had to make,
hmm
um, which was really fun to watch. All right, you want to dive into this?
Let's do it.
All
We'll kick
right.
things off with our number one team actually taking a bit of an upset this week. Chris Levy takes an 11-10 loss to Casas Paragas. Yeah, kind of didn't see this one coming, but again,
No.
I don't know how much maybe Chris wasn't into it this week if he was preparing for the playoffs. But either way, it's a great win for Costas. Just a feather in his cap. Close categories here. Costas wins by two doubles. He wins by one triple, the only triple of the match. Five RBIs and six ticks on the whip. Chris wins by two runs, three home runs by a batter, and an error. And they didn't tie in anything.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, they had all 21 categories. Pretty good. And it was an 11-10 win. I mean, it was razor thin, but it was still a good win for Casas here.
Yeah.
For Casas on his bench, he went a nice 4 for 16. I'm sure Ben would have liked to have had that number to guess, but that's a nice even 250.
250.
50, yep. He did have two runs on the bench. If he had both of those in, that would have tied up that category. Um, Tough to get in, so not really anything to move around.
Okay.
So the two runs, two doubles, a homer, an RBI, two walks, and two strikeouts on the bench. Nothing else plays. Overall a good benching for Costas this week. Again, tough to get in those two runs. So um, for his ads this week, he did use all 12, six on hitters, six on starters.
Hmm.
Um, he added he added Whit Merrifield, who I'm sure we'll talk about later on in the show.
Yep.
Uh, but yeah, he didn't do anything for him. He only added him on Saturday, I think it was.
Okay.
But he's useless. Um, he did add Chris Archer for a start. Made it through two innings before being pulled with an injury and is now on the IL.
Oh,
And he did drop Joe Ryan, who is his 11th round pick this year. So I thought that was
yeah.
kind of and he had been carrying him for most of the year, but he's hit a bit of a rough stretch here in the last few starts. So I guess he just kind of cut ties.
Yeah. No, it's too bad.
Yeah. Let's hit his key players here. For his players, there was a lot to choose from here. He hit 292 this week, so he had some really good hitters this week. I gave it to Kyle Farmer here. He went 8 for 21 with a 381 average and on base, 4 runs, a double, a triple, 2 homers, 5 RBIs, and 3 strikeouts. The triple was the only one of the matchup, so
Yeah.
that kind of gave him a little bit of the edge.
Yeah.
Because he had such a good offensive week, I had trouble finding a least valuable player, so I gave it to Whit Merrifield because
I had a feeling you were going there.
he's just that bad. So I mean, he only had him for one game, but he was terrible. He got pulled after 2 at-bats, and he's just not playing. So,
Yeah.
yeah, he's least valuable hitter.
Okay. There's no emotion involved in that decision at all, right?
No.
Yeah.
As soon as he left the Royals, all emotion went away. I don't know what the Blue Jays have against this guy. I don't know if he like made fun of the manager or I don't know what it is, but they refuse to play him, and when he plays, he's terrible. It's like
Yeah.
he is. I mean, he's demotable. Like you can drop him down to AAA.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah.
Pitching side, we're gonna hit up for the second week in a row. Nick Lodolo was fantastic. 8 innings, a win, 1 homer allowed, 11 strikeouts, a 2.25 ERA, and a .63 WHIP.
Wow.
Again, he had some good pitching this week. Alek Manoah was really good. Tyler Anderson was good, but the 11 strikeouts from Lodolo against the Brewers is a pretty good start.
Nice. Yeah.
For his Cy Young, we're gonna hit Kyle Wright, who was not right. 4 innings, 2 homers, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, an 18 ERA, and a 2 WHIP. And that was against Oakland. Like that's a team he should have eaten up, and he did not.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Damn. All right. I mean, he's been good for Costas, but
he really has. Yeah.
like, those are good numbers for this rookie here. But yeah, no, that's he had a good. It looks like he had a pretty good pitching week. If like that's really the worst.
He really did. Like
He
I
dropped
mean,
a couple of rough starts here, but
yeah, Jason Alexander wasn't great. Taiwan Walker, he dropped, and I grabbed him because Mets have a nice, easy schedule coming up. But like, yeah, I mentioned Chris Archer, 2 innings, did take the loss. And Joe Ryan, again, was just not, he's been okay. I mean, he had 2 rough starts in a row here, but like, other than that, he's been okay.
yeah.
I don't know if he was really droppable, but what do I know?
You know what would be fascinating? If because Taiwan Walker was on his team and he was on your team this week, if he was the Cy Young for him and the Cy Young for you.
Ooh,
Wouldn't that be
we'll have to see that.
fascinating?
That would be so fascinating. We'll get to that later.
Okay.
For now, let's talk about our regular season champ here, Chris Levy.
Yeah.
On the bench this week, he goes a nice even 2 for 10. Another one that Ben would love to have had.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, nice even 200. A run, a double, an RBI, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. Not good plays. Just a solid bench week for Chris. He did have there was one day on Tuesday where he had Contreras and Canada on the bench, and that was the game that the Yankee game that was postponed. So like he still had Judge and Arias in the lineup. Again, he could have moved things around and plugged those guys in. It didn't matter at the end. That's just what made me wonder like how much he was really focusing on this matchup.
Right.
But he did make ads. He made 5.
Okay.
1 hitter, 2 starters, 2 relievers. It was interesting. He dropped on Friday. He dropped Luis Patino.
Okay.
And then picked him back up after he cleared waivers for the start at Yankee Stadium on Sunday, and that didn't go great. Yeah, that didn't go very well.
No, that was a disaster.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So that, again, I don't know. If you're not paying attention, if you're not focusing on this week, I don't know if that was meant for next week, but
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know what the thought process behind that was. And Thursday was a fascinating day for him too. He added Adrian Hauser, then dropped
Okay.
Hauser, added Jimmy Lambert, dropped Lambert, and then added Scott Alexander, all within 2 minutes of each other.
Did any of them get into the game?
So Scott Alexander was an opener, used as an opener by the Giants. He pitched an inning, like just a clean first inning, and that was it. Like that
Huh.
was it. Adrian Hauser was great on Saturday for a start against the Reds. So if he had held on to him, that would have been a nice start. That was
Okay.
about it. Yeah, it was just
Interesting.
an interesting series of moves. I would love to know what the thought process there was.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Huh.
Yeah. His key players for the week. MVP is the MVP. Is Aaron Judge. He went 11 for 28,
Wow.
which is a 458 average, 576 on base, 6 runs, 2 doubles, 2 homers, 6 RBIs, a steal, 8 walks, and 8 strikeouts.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's Aaron Judge. I mean,
Yes, it is.
yeah.
Wow.
What more can you say?
Yeah.
Uh, Least valuable hitter is going to be Ketel Marte. Uh, he did chip in 4 RBIs, but the guy went 2 for 19.
Oof.
Yeah, a 105 average, 150 on base, 1 run, a double, the 4 RBIs, a walk, and 5 strikeouts. Um, the Acuna had a rough week in the average department. Goldschmidt too, but I feel like they contributed a little bit more than Marte did.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
On the pitching side, we're gonna get. He had a rough pitching week this week. He almost hit a 5 ERA, so it was a little bit tough to find a good Cy Young. But I'm gonna go with your old friend Jordan Montgomery. Yeah, pitched 6 2/3 again. I mean, it was against Washington, but 6 2/3, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, a 1.35 ERA, and a .75 WHIP. I'll give a shout out to Brooks Raley too for 4 innings and 3 appearances with 3 strikeouts, nothing earned.
Nice. Was he
The
optioned?
site and
Oh, restricted. Okay.
he's not vaccinated, so
Got
he
it.
can't
Got
go
it.
to. But and it's Cy Yuck, it's Luis Patino because the guy was just
Yeah.
awful. I mean, overall for the week, 6 1/3, a loss, 4 homers, 7 walks, 4 strikeouts, a 17.05 ERA, and a 2.68 WHIP. Ew.
Yeah, that's not good.
And I know he's a race fan. He's had him a couple times this year, and yeah, not good.
No, he hasn't looked good in any of his starts, really.
No, he really hasn't. Not since coming back from AAA, he's not been good
No.
at all. So
Yeah, this 8.10 ERA is pretty rough.
yeah, and just 11 strikeouts in 20 innings. That's not even good either.
Yeah. It does look like he's getting Shane McClanahan back this week,
That's gonna be huge.
which is just in time for his bye to be up, and then him probably get maybe a 2-star week from McClanahan next week.
Wow, that could be huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. So yeah, Levy has the bye. Um. Now he can just kind of sit and wait and see, who he could be playing against, and he's got all week to, tinker with his roster and make the moves he thinks he needs to make.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
As for Costas here, again, it's a feather in the cap. You beat the regular season champ. And now he can kind of just go lick his wounds and, get ready for next year.
Yeah, and I guess it's kind of time to put a bow on his season, right? Because he's not in the consolation, and this is kind of the end of the road for him in 2022.
Yeah. Let's
Um,
take a look at let's break him down a little bit here.
yeah.
Um,
Here, I can open up his team here in a second.
yeah, and I want to check out his overall schedule. I'm looking at he had a total of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He had 8 wins, for the year. He
Okay.
won 8 matchups. I feel like that's not bad. It's just none of them were. He didn't have any big wins. He had one against Christian, where he won 15-6, but then he had a lot of lopsided losses.
Right,
Um,
right.
which so you can win all the matchups you want, but if they're all close and then you're getting dump trucked, that's gonna not do well
Yeah.
for you.
No. So I'm trying to look at his draft here.
Yeah. Um,
So if we can just find his draft, what is his name?
he
Right
is the Great Apes. He had
here.
the
Yeah,
he had the yeah he had the 16th pick of the draft.
yes,
Right.
this was
He went
the
Josh Hader, Liam Hendricks back to back.
yep.
I don't think that worked out.
No, so that didn't work out because neither of them are on his team anymore.
And Josh
Tre-
Hader is barely even a closer anymore.
yeah, Trevor Story is not a number one hitter
He's not on his team anymore either.
for a team. He's not on his team. Chris Bryant is not on his team. Jordan
Jordan.
Romano is not on his team.
So Alek Manoah is the top man left from the draft.
Yeah. And then it's a bunch of guys who are no longer on his team. Carlson, Badu, Kelnick, Trevino, Joe Ryan, Colton Wong, Nate Lowe.
Yeah,
None
and
of
that
these
that
guys are on his team.
that trio of Carlson, Badu, and Kalinick just did not work at all. None of those guys really did anything this year.
Yeah.
Those are your seventh, eighth, and ninth picks. Like, yeah, that stings.
Yeah. So what do you think is if you're Costas and you look at this 1 through 26 rounds, what's your biggest regret? Is it Josh Hader at 1?
I think it has to be, and this is the second year in a row where his top pick, or one of his top picks, did not work out. Last year was Mondesi, and like
Yeah.
I know he's coming into the draft with a strategy. Maybe don't come in with a strategy and just get the best guy on the board, and not the Josh Haders and not the Mondeses, but whoever is the best guy, on the board. My opinion, this early in the draft, it's too early to have a strategy. Like
I
at
hear you.
least at least based on positions. Like if you know you don't want if you know you want stolen bases, target Trey Turner or Ronald Acuna or somebody up top who's going to give you those steals if that's what you're asking for. But I don't know that whatever strategy he's had is working.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but he saw the closer strategy in action last year and he saw it work for himself. But I
Yeah,
think what Casas did last year was he didn't draft like 6 closers. I think what he did was he accumulated a closer here and there through trades, through waiver wire finds, and that's how he built that bullpen last year, and that's how he made
right.
it to the finals. And he still had those high quality players that he drafted early in the draft. So
Yes, exactly right. You're putting a lot of eggs in the basket of Josh Hader and Liam Hendricks to carry your team as your top two picks.
right,
And it's a lot to ask for a guy who pitches once, you know, every couple of days, here or
right,
there, and pitches an inning,
right.
maybe two if you're lucky.
Yeah. And the strategy of using these so Hader, Hendricks, and Romano as trade bait, which I think I'm not sure if that was his initial strategy, like let me draft the top 3 closers and use them as trade bait. You have to make sure you're getting first, second, and fifth round value back. And
Yes,
I don't think that necessarily was the case.
like I'd look to see let's see the trades,
Okay.
because let's see. Okay, yeah. So he traded
Uh,
Kelenic and Hendricks to Christian for Keegan Thompson, Mondesi, and Cedric Mullins. Like that was his first trade of the year.
I see it here. Okay.
Yeah, and
So
that's
I mean, can you argue Cedric Mullins' second round value?
he was drafted. He was drafted in the third round this year.
Okay.
So from a draft value, yes, but I, he didn't return third round value.
Yeah, not quite this year. And
No,
definitely not second round value.
no, definitely not. Um, but I mean, he also, Jared Kalenic was, a throw in. obviously he was hoping to get more from Mondesi again, and he burned that bridge twice.
That's 2 years in a
So
row. Yeah.
yeah, avoid this guy, Costas. Do not go
Yes.
anywhere near Mondesi next year. I plead you.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
And then here's the Jordan Romano trade with
yeah,
Joe.
Romano Carlson to Joe for Chris Taylor and Yandy Diaz. I mean, like, yeah, Diaz has had a nice year. He was
Sure.
drafted. He was drafted in the 20th round.
Yeah.
20th.
Okay, so he's got a decent batting average. He gets on base, but like, come on.
And Chris Taylor, yeah, has all the eligibility in the world, but he strikes out a ton. He
Yeah.
was hurt, which whatever. But like, he just has not had a good year. He was drafted in the 14th round. So like,
Yeah.
you're trading two top guys for two bottom guys.
Yeah.
Not
It's
good.
wild.
Trevor Story for David Bednar. Like,
Yeah.
you just traded off your two of your top three closers, and now you're trading Trevor Story to get a closer for a shit team
Yeah.
who hasn't thrown a pitch since July.
Yeah. Wow. So he was traded in June, and he had him for what, like 2 weeks?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. I know Trevor Story hasn't been great, but like you'd rather
At
take
least
that trade back.
he's doing something
He's doing
for
yeah.
yeah. And then the last one was with Frank. He trades Chris Bryant, Dylan Tate, and Cole Irvin for David Peterson, Devin Williams, AJ Minter, and Taiwan Walker. This one was interesting because like I at the time I the Mets were getting healthy. DeGrom was coming back. I thought for sure that David Peterson was not going to be in the rotation anymore. And I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, you're getting a guy that's going to pitch in long relief for the Mets. Like, he's going to pitch once a week. Like, you're not going to see this guy. But he's actually been pitching. And Devin Williams has been lights out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and obviously Chris Bryant, well, hasn't seen grass in 2 months, so
No, he doesn't even recognize baseball anymore.
more on that guy later.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just a weird trade season for Costas. I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah. I think honestly, it was a weird season overall, like with the draft, with the trades. I think what worked for him last year sort of backfired and bit him a bit this year.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see if he comes in next year kind of with a different strategy, or how he goes about the draft and maybe takes it a little more traditional.
Agreed.
Or
We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
we'll see.
Let's
And then yeah, you want to move on?
yeah, let's move on here. Let's move on to our next matchup, which is going to be another upset, another 11-10 upset, and this time it's James McCloskey taking down Joe Schubert 11-10. Another close matchup, but again, one of our heavyweights taking a loss here to end the season.
Yeah.
Close categories. McCloskey wins by 2 triples, 4 RBIs, a steal, a win, and 2 losses. And Joe wins by 2 runs, 2 doubles, 2 walks, and 2 errors. And again, they didn't tie in anything. Very, very interesting how these first 2 matchups, no ties, 11-10. Like, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
For McCloskey on his bench, he goes 9 for 31. Which is it's a 290 average, not too ideal. 9 runs, 2 doubles, 2 homers, 5 RBIs, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts. Yeah, a lot to dive into here. The 9 runs, he only needed 3 of them to flip the category. I feel like on Wednesday, I think there was. Well, oh no, you know what it is? He his roster construction just did not work for him here because Riley Green was out for 2 days, and there's no way to like move guys around here because
there's no flexibility on this team at all.
Not at all. his outfielders are his only outfielders. Like there's nobody else to move around in the outfield. So
Right.
if your outfielders are out, that's it. So um, two doubles would have tied the category. 5 RBIs. If you had all them in, that would have flipped the category. Both of the walks would have flipped the category or tied the category. So there's a lot left there.
Yeah.
But it's hard to move guys around in that lineup. So
Yeah.
um, total ads, nada. Um, didn't make a move.
All right.
Um, for his key players, this was fun. His MVP, I'm giving to a guy he acquired from Joe, O'Neal Cruz, because the guy just went off. 11 for 26. That's a 423 average, a 444 on base, 4 runs, 2 doubles, a triple, 2 homers, 7 RBIs, a steal, a walk, and 7 strikeouts.
Wow.
Yeah, that might be like the best week he's had all year.
That's a week. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's against the guy that he traded him from. So that's pretty sweet.
Redemption.
Exactly. Yes. But his least valuable hitter is another guy he acquired, and that's gonna be Trevor Story. We just talked about him. He went 4 for 22. That's a buck 82 average, a 280 on base, a run, a double, 4 RBIs, a steal, which is nice, 3 walks, 9 strikeouts, and an error. What a weird first year in Boston for Trevor Story, huh?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, so is this the lack of Coors Field at play here, or just getting adjusted to a new environment? I don't know.
I think Coors has to have something to do with it here. Maybe there's a little more pressure in Boston, but still,
Yeah.
I mean, he's not the guy in Boston. He's one of 4 or 5 guys that can contribute, and he's been doing pretty much jack squat.
Yeah, I mean he's missed time with injuries, and he's just been in and out of the lineup. It's it's been a weird year for him. Maybe next year, if Xander Bogaerts goes elsewhere, he can slide back over to short and be a little more comfortable in his normal position. Maybe that's something. I don't know.
Yeah.
For his Cy Young on the pitching side, it was tough this week. He had an ERA over 5 for the week, so not a great pitching week. But Carlos Carrasco did have a really good start in Miami. 6 innings, a win, 6 strikeouts, a 150 ERA, and a .67 WHIP, and he just ate the Marlins up. So that was pretty fun to watch. And his Cy Young is German Marquez, who's maybe not a streamer. Maybe he's a streamer. I don't know. 4 innings, 2 homers, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, an ERA for 3 years from now, and a 250 WHIP. And that was against Arizona. It was an awful game. It was a very, very Coors Field-like game.
Yeah.
13-10 final. Just not good for German Marquez.
No. Wow, Musgrove did not have a very good week either.
No, he did not. He was fortunate to have a much tinier ERA. He didn't pitch as much.
Yeah.
But like he got beat up by the Dodgers. Again, the Dodgers can beat up on anybody. So
yeah,
I take that for what it's worth. Gallegos was not good in the bullpen.
No.
That was just one outing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a rough pitching week for McCloskey this week.
Yeah.
For Joe Schubert on the bench, he went 5 for 16, which is a 313 average, a run, a double, an RBI, 2 steals, more on that in a minute, a walk, and 5 strikeouts. Yeah. Both steals come from a guy who he has since dropped, Jeremy Pena, on Tuesday. 2 steals on the bench.
Wow.
Tough to get him in. If you're sticking to the new kid for the Orioles.
Yeah.
So it's tough to get him in, but that's probably why he dropped him, because he couldn't really squeeze him in here, and he's committed to Henderson here. I guess he likes these Orioles. He's got Mountcastle, he's got Rutschman, so he's got Santander, so he likes these Orioles.
Yep.
We'll see how it works for him in the playoffs.
Yeah, he goes where the Orange Birds go this playoff season. So
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. He did use 10 ads this week, 4 hitters, 6 relievers. He added Gavin Lux on Tuesday, and Lux hasn't played since September 1st. He's been
Mm,
out for a while with a back injury. The Dodgers already in the playoffs. I don't know. They're probably not going to rush him back. I don't know what kind of playing time he's going to get. I, I don't know if he takes the place of Jeremy Pena, who was, as I said, dropped, and
right.
is now is on Ben's team. Um,
Yeah, I know.
he did add Tyler McGill to the IL, so that's going to be a good weapon for him to have for the playoffs. So kudos to Joe on that. I wanted to add him. I just couldn't manipulate my roster enough to make that work.
Yeah, yeah.
He picked up Keegan Aiken for a spot start in Toronto. He was bad, but nothing else really too noteworthy for his ads this week.
Okay.
His MVP, I'm giving another homer pick, but I'm giving it to Brandon Nimmo.
Yeah.
Max Muncy had a really good week, but
Oh, yeah.
the 6 walks for Nimmo is what did it for me. So Nimmo went 7 for 23. That's 304 average, a 448 on base, 6 runs, a double, 2 homers, 7 RBIs, a steal, 6 walks, and 4 strikeouts. Again, Muncy a really good week with 9 RBIs, but Joe 1 walks and Nimmo got him 6 of them. So
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
and a little bit of a homer pick. His least valuable hitter, Juan Soto. Juan Soto went 1 for 20 this week.
Whoa.
Yeah, .50 average, a 174 on base, 2 runs, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts, and that's it. He got hurt in the middle of the week,
Okay.
but he's been in the lineup. He's been playing. He's just been not good.
Yeah, I mean, playing against the Dodgers is tough, but those 3 games against Arizona, he's 0 for 9 with 2 strikeouts and no production. So
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, you can count on Juan Soto to get your walks, and he only had 2 this week. Like
I mean, not
that's
for nothing. This is a 239 average in September is really bizarre.
yes, it's been a really again. I from what I heard, he was playing down in Washington, because he was not happy still being there with all of the other guys being traded away. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's for sure how it seemed because he did not
Uh,
play well in Washington at all.
right.
He's been a little bit better since coming to San Diego, but I mean,
Not Juan Soto numbers though.
no. So to be curious to see where he goes next year, in the draft. Like, is this guy a first rounder next year?
I still think he has to be a first rounder, but I don't think he's a top 3 pick anymore. But
Yeah, I mean, he was top of the draft this year, and 239, 24, 52 with 6 steals.
no, that's
That's
yeah,
I mean, unless you're counting on a bounce back year, but
right.
I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
Moving over to his pitching side, maybe another homer pick, but Jacob DeGrom. It was against the Pirates, but you know what? He did what DeGrom does:
Yeah,
7 shutout innings, a win, a walk, 8 strikeouts. It was just a classic Jacob DeGrom outing. He just ate up a AAA team. You know,
yeah,
um, overall his pitching wasn't really great this week either. He had a 4.5 ERA, so like, eh, Leclerc was good. Was a nice pickup.
yeah.
Spencer Strider had a decent start, but like, wasn't anything that jumped out of the page. His Cy Yucks though, we're gonna give it to the Lopez's, both of them, because they were both terrible.
Yeah, they
Jorge,
were.
Jorge Lopez in three outings, 2 2/3, 5 walks, 2 strikeouts, and a 10.13 ERA and a 3.75 WHIP. Pablo Lopez, 3 2/3 innings, a loss, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts. Uh, I don't know, civil rights movement, 1964 ERA,
Sure.
3.55 WHIP. Yeah, both of those guys were just trash this week.
Wow, yeah, the Lopez brothers.
Yeah, and not to mention Andre Palante, but that was just a third of an inning that just did not go well for him with a
Right.
nice 108 ERA. But Yeah, overall not a great pitching week for Joe either. So it'd be
Right.
interesting to see how he's got a bye here, going into the playoffs.
Yep.
What can he do? What will he do? Or will he do anything to try and tinker with his lineup, tinker with his roster, and get himself in shape for the playoffs?
Yeah. Yeah. So we got Joe as in our second bye, like you just mentioned. We've got McCloskey, who is a consolation, I believe,
Against me. Yeah.
against you.
Yep.
Okay.
So we'll put a bow on his season next week.
Yes. Yes. Um, yeah, all right. I mean, do you think Joe is set up for his, I mean, is it too early for us to talk about this, but is Joe set up for his fourth title, fifth title?
I worry. I actually was starting to worry about the offense here. It all rides on Juan Soto. Like if Juan Soto is going to be putting up, 1 for 20 weeks, like that's scary because you're not benching this guy, but if he's going to be in your lineup and he's going to be hitting garbage, like what do you do? Um, you know, you're relying on Brandon Nimmo and Max Muncy and Jose Abreu, which are good pieces, but can they carry you through to the promised land? He also today, this counts for this week, but he picked up Francisco Alvarez back to the NA spot, which I thought
Mhm.
was interesting. I don't think he's going to be playing in Queens this year. He just
Okay.
came back from ankle injury. Don't think we're going to be seeing him till next year.
Right, right. I mean, it's a good stash if you're not using that NA spot for
Sure.
anything. I guess yeah, it's good to keep him there.
What's going to be huge is, like you said about Levy getting McClanahan back. Looks like he's getting Verlander back.
Yeah, so it looks like he played catch.
And
Uh,
he's with Detroit.
yeah,
He could be coming back for that Oakland series, which if it's Oakland, I mean that's another 7 inning gem waiting to happen for Verlander. It doesn't really matter for Joe this week, but just having him back, like if he can be back up to speed, like that could be huge.
yeah,
Uh, I
yeah,
love his bullpen. I love the bullpen he put together with Felix Bautista and Leclerc and Stanek and Iglesias, like and Romano. I love this bullpen that he put together.
yeah, yeah. It is a fun bullpen. Um, I I don't know how he ended up with Leclerc. Didn't Oh, you dropped him and he picked him up. Yeah, okay. I remember this. I remember this conversation.
I hope Joe remembers it.
Yes. Yes, he does. Yeah, no, I think pitching wise, Joe is obviously set up for a deep run. But yeah, we'll see what the offense brings. We'll see what the Orioles bring.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what their like end of year schedule looks like and if they're going to be playing teams like Houston and New York and other teams with like high quality starters, it might be tough for them to score a ton of runs, but we'll see.
yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. And like what's he doing with Gavin Lux? Is Gavin Lux staying on this team? Is he gonna play? Like, there's a lot of questions in this offense, but I think we know that Joe's good enough of a manager to figure it out, and
Oh yeah,
yeah, he's on the run. So
he is. He is. Someone's got to stop him though. We can't let him win five in a row, right? Not five in a row, but we can't let him win five, can we?
no, no, don't do it. Don't do it.
I
Let's
mean, I'll do
what?
everything in my power, Jason.
I appreciate it.
But no
Love you, Joe.
promises. Yeah, love you, Joe. Yeah, but I like to remind everyone of all the names that he's used to call me this year. I don't want to go back into them because I don't want to get emotional. But
I don't know. Weren't you a bug? Okay.
yeah, I was a bug.
Yeah. Let's move on, shall we?
Let's do it.
Uh, I think it's going to be Jimmy Dunlap.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to Jimmy Dunlap. Let me just bring that matchup
It's
up.
another upset here.
Yeah, so we got an 11-8 victory for Brian Lebo. So let me share my screen here. 11-8 victory for the 13th place Brian Lebo over our third ranked manager, Jimmy Dunlap. Close categories this week. Give me 1 second. Close categories this week. We got Lebo winning by 1 triple. He wins by 19 ticks on the on base. He wins by 3 home runs given up by a pitcher. And that's about it in the close category department for Lebo. Jimmy wins by 1 tick on the batting average. 2 saves, 3 strikeouts by a pitcher, and he wins by the 4 relief appearances. They tied in errors with 4 and losses with 3. Start with Lebo on his bench this week. He goes 6 for 31, which is a 194 average. So
Nicely
not
done.
bad. 4 runs, 2 doubles, a home run, 3 RBIs, 6 walks, and 7 strikeouts. None of it really plays except batting average. I mean, if he can get some of those hits in, then obviously you can flip that being only down by 100.
Yeah. Am I seeing that Monday he had an empty catcher spot?
Yeah. So if we take a look at Monday real quick, it was kind of a bizarre chain of events here. He added Victor Caratini that day on Monday, and I believe it was like 5 something p.m.
Yeah. Yep.
He added him that day and then left him on the bench with the catcher slot open. And if he gets him in, right? That's a 2 for 3 with a run, a home run, 3 RBIs, and a walk. If he gets him in, he flips batting average just by playing this one player.
That I don't know why you add him if you're not going to play him when you have an empty spot for him.
In course.
Yeah, in Coors Field. I don't understand the point of that.
Yeah. It was a bizarre chain of events, but it was
kind of... You know what it is? I was at this game. This was on Monday. It was a day game. That's why.
Oh, it was a day game.
I was at this game. This game started it was a 2:00 start here. So that's 4:00 Eastern. So yeah. So he added him after the game started.
Added him after the game started, but was that a blunder? Because he had an open catcher slot?
I don't know.
Yeah. Or because why don't you add a catcher who's going to play that night then? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, just then drop him and add somebody else that hasn't played yet.
Yeah. I mean, so that's really the only blunder we can sort of point our finger at here. Otherwise, Lebo had a really clean week as far as benchings go. He used 11 ads, so he's still pedal to the metal here.
Yeah.
At the end of the season. 4 relief pitchers, 5 starters, and 2 hitters. Some notable ads. He did add Brandon Hughes, which is the Cubs closer, and I'm not sure if Joe dropped him because I know he was on Joe's team for a bit. But to be able to add this guy was pretty good. Where is he? He may have even dropped him at this point.
Oh, he might have.
He might have dropped him, but he had him for this week. He also added Joey Wentz, who was the starter for Kansas City. A great start against the Tigers.
Yeah.
And then obviously the Victor Caratini ad, which again was also bizarre on top of the fact that he dropped Caratini the next day. So you picked him up after the day game and then dropped him the next day.
Yeah. See, I don't get that.
Yeah. That was a little strange. Oh, you know what? I was looking at Monday. That's why I couldn't find.
Yeah, he added him on Thursday.
Yeah.
And Joe did drop him. You're right.
So Joe dropped him, and that's interesting because I'm pretty sure he's gonna be closing games in Chicago. So
and Lebo's had this guy a couple times this year now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got 4 saves. Hey, we might be seeing him tonight because right now the Cubs are winning.
I
So,
know, I'm not happy.
me-
Players. There is a very, very, very key player here for Brian Lebo. May have been the player of the week for all teams, but that's Bo Bichette.
he actually
Um,
was the AL player of the week. So
there
there
you
you go.
go. There you go. He went 16 for 32, which is a 500 average and a 529 on base. 11 runs, 4 doubles, a triple, 5 home runs, 13 RBIs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, and an error. Um, he's starting to come into his own as far as the numbers go, end of the
Yeah,
season numbers. I'm not sure necessarily this is a first round, 6th overall pick numbers.
no, and you're talking about a guy who had a lot of hype coming in, but
Yeah,
he hadn't put together a full season yet, so we didn't really know what we were getting from him.
right.
Great year.
Great
Yeah,
year.
probably a little aggressive on the draft though.
Yeah, yeah. Um, his least valuable player this week, we're gonna go with the newcomer Tristan Casas.
Yeah.
Casas. He went 1 for 14 this week, which is an 071 average and a 133 on base. 1 run, 1 home run. He did hit his first major league home run. Congrats. 2 RBIs, a walk, and 7 strikeouts. I don't know what that player is. I don't know if he's real
Yeah,
or
I
not.
I wonder if I mean the Red Sox aren't playing for anything, so I guess might as well keep rolling him out and getting him
Yeah,
the experience. But maybe next year will be a banner year for him. We'll see.
yeah, we'll see. Um, on the pitching side, I'm gonna give the Cy Young here to Joey Wentz, who I really never heard of until this week. But 6 2/3 innings, a win, a walk, 5 strikeouts, nothing earned, and a .45 WHIP. Um, the Cy Yuck, we're gonna give to Cy Puck over here to
Nice.
AJ
Very
Puck.
nice.
Um,
Woo.
the only reason I'm giving it to him, he pitched really well, first of all.
Yeah.
Lebo did. Um, AJ Puck only got into 1 game this week, and so usually I wouldn't give him Cy Yuck, but, like, the fact that he only could get into 1 game, he couldn't give him any relief appearances but that 1 game, 2/3 of an innings 2/3 of an inning, a loss, a home run, a walk, a 67.50 ERA, and a 7.50 WHIP. I don't know how many runs that is, but I assume that Oakland was winning going into the 9th.
3 runs and a blown save and a
Yeah.
loss.
Okay.
Yeah. Um.
So that's not what you want. And then he couldn't get into a game the rest of the week to help him out with relief appearances. So
Yeah. That was not a good outing.
no, he really pucked things up. Uh,
He really things out. Fuck yeah.
yeah, yeah. So moving over to Jimmy's side of the ball. Um, let's talk about his bench. On the bench, Jimmy goes 14 for 47, which is a 298 average. 6 runs, 2 doubles, 4 home runs, 7 RBIs, 2 steals, 5 walks, 11 strikeouts, and 1 error. Believe it or not, Jason, none of it plays.
He had wait, am I seeing that he had 14 stolen bases?
He had 14 stolen bases this week.
Whew, that sounds like a lot.
That's a lot. He had Semien got 3, McCarthy got 5, Bubba Thompson got 3. This is looking more and more like a Costas team over here.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
That's a whole of stolen bases.
that's a lot of stolen bases. And he left 2 on the bench. So that's 16 steals.
Wow.
But none of it plays. But it's kind of a lot of counting stats. The 6 runs,
It,
2 doubles, 4 homers, 7 RBIs, a 298 average. Like, it's a lot of stats, but
and like 2 steals. Normally you leave 2 steals on the bench. And you're like, fuck. But
yeah,
like not this time.
not this time. Total transactions, he used 9 ads, 5 starters, 3 relievers, and only 1 hitter. Notably, he did add Joe Ryan onto this roster, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah.
So maybe he'll reap the benefits of Costas's throwaway starter, and it'll help him make a deeper run here. David VR on the Giants.
Yeah, who is this kid, right?
It's a person.
Yeah,
I don't know much again, I don't know much about him, but his numbers don't look good on the season, but he's been pretty hot lately.
and he's getting playing time. Like
He's
again,
getting
the Giants
playing.
aren't doing anything, so
Yeah, might as
let
well.
him go.
Might as well give the kid a chance, and he's got first, second, and third eligibility, so that gives him some infield flexibility there. So
And I know I think the Giants like are due for another series here in Denver, so like, you know, that could be big.
yeah, that's definitely helpful.
Yeah.
All right, so Jimmy's key players here. We're gonna talk about. Oh man, I love the Diamondbacks right now.
Right?
We're gonna talk about Jake McCarthy again for the second week in a row. He went a total of 10 for 22, which is a 455 average, a 478 on base, 5 runs, a triple, a home run, 6 RBIs, 5 steals, a walk, 4 strikeouts, and an error. This kid
I
has
mean,
been ridiculous,
yeah.
since coming up.
When did he actually come up? Because like it, he's not. I mean, he's not going to get Rookie of the Year, but like, does he still have like? Let's see.
So he gained eligibility on August 2nd.
Yeah. So he might still have his rookie. He might still have rookie eligibility for next year, but like,
Good.
yeah, like if he had come up sooner, like this kid's been great.
Yeah. Yeah. He has been incredible. And the fact that Jimmy kind of took a flyer on this guy at, with not a lot of information about him, like just good for him.
Yeah,
This was like
yeah,
a diamond that he found. So,
and I found him first, and then I dropped him.
Jason, you got to stop doing that.
You're right, I do.
You had him for 3 days.
Yeah, I guess I didn't realize he was a diamond yet.
Yeah, not yet. For for his, am I a matchup total? Maybe. For his least valuable player this week, we're going to talk about MJ Melendez, who has been good for him, but this week not so much. He went 3 for 23, which is a 130 average, 231 on base, a run, 2 RBIs, 3 walks, and 7 strikeouts. On the pitching side, let's talk about, it's weird. He had 1 win all week. He couldn't salvage wins from his pitchers. And I didn't think Tim Meza and his 5.40 ERA was warranted a Cy Young here. So
The win, right? The win comes from the bullpen.
the
That's
win came from the bullpen. He couldn't get 1 win from a starter.
wow.
So we're gonna go Cy Young with Jesus Luzardo here. 7 innings, a home run, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts, a 2.57 ERA, and a 0.86 WHIP. His star pitcher, Zach Gallen, did not throw up 1 pitch in this matchup.
Did he? He must have benched everybody yesterday on Sunday.
He did.
Okay,
And he benched
because
Gallen in Coors.
yeah, and Luzardo against the Mets because I know Luzardo was not good.
He was not.
Yeah, so
So it was a good
he
bench.
must have benched. Yeah, I just want to see like did he bench everybody? Because like I saw like Tim Mesa had a save, but he benched all of his pitchers on Sunday
Yes, he did, except for Montero and Presley.
and they didn't get into the game.
Nope.
Interesting
Yeah. I mean, Zach Gallen pitched well.
for Coors Field. Yeah,
Yeah. For Coors Field, a win and 11 strikeouts. I'll take that all day.
yeah.
Um,
Um,
but yeah, it's it. So I guess Luzardo is the Cy Young though because of that 1 game that he did get in there.
yeah, absolutely.
His Cy Yuck, we're gonna go with a man by the name of Eric Lauer. Talk about a fall from grace.
Yeah,
2 2.3 innings, a loss, 2 home runs, a walk, 4 strikeouts, 23.63 flying cars, and a 2.63 WHIP. and now he's on the IL and he is no longer on Jimmy's team. So
All right then.
goodbye, Eric Lauer.
Nice to know you, Eric
Uh,
Lauer.
Yep. Next up for both of these managers, Jimmy is playing in the first round against Ari, and that's going to be a really fun, really like exotic matchup of two wildly different strategies.
Yeah,
I'm really excited to see how this goes, though.
it could go out. It can go in any which way. It's gonna be so fun to see.
Yeah, and we'll talk about my matchup with Ari coming up, but like Ari's team, you got to be like he threw I think 16 starting pitchers against me. Like you got to be ready to to come at this guy with a different angle. And unfortunately, Brian Lebo's season comes to an end. He
It
finishes
does.
he finishes what in 13th place
Yeah,
on
just
the
outside
year.
the consolation bracket. Yeah, tough going for Brian Lebo. I know he was obviously looking for more, especially after last year, and uh, he got off to a decent start this year, but just was not enough.
It wasn't. It wasn't. And there was a lot of buzz about Brian Lebo going into the season from the four of us. I think we were
Yeah,
all super excited about, he was a third-year manager. He's ready to like take that next step and like make the final push into the playoffs and
and
just
just the
didn't.
fact that he's so invested and he's so enthusiastic, just like we all
Yes.
are. But like
Yeah,
he's he definitely bleeds the bigs,
he
and
does. He
you know
does.
it's just anybody that missed out on either the championship or the consolation bracket that is in line for a bounce back next year. It's Brian Lebo.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
100%. And like after his draft too, I remember all of us being like, damn, this team is stacked. And then after
yeah,
that trade with Ben where he got Devers, his, his team was stacked going into the year. Um, the Bichette and Alvarez combo at the top was great. He also had Jose Abreu at one point.
yeah.
Um, and then he did have Devers on top of that, which is like four top hitters.
Yeah, it
Uh, he had Giolito, he had Rodon,
like
Manaya,
the Chapman pick at round 5, it that backfired. That was
but
ugly.
I don't blame him though because at the rate at which these closers were going off the board, like you can't really blame him for doing what he did.
But like, do you say, okay, fine, I'll let you know, I'll let some other closers go by. I mean, Chapman wasn't gonna. I don't think Chapman was gonna go for another couple of rounds. I can't imagine.
I don't
Maybe,
Class
but
A
like,
at Class A at 68, Ryan Presley at 69. I, and remember Costas already drafted Hader, Romano, and Hendricks. And
Hendricks,
then
yeah,
and then Ben got Jansen and
Jason
Kimbrel.
and Kimbrel, yeah,
So at this point, like
yeah.
Chapman is really the next name on the list. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, Melanson was around. Like, I don't know. Bednar, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then obviously the Rendon pick at 7. That Franmil Reyes didn't work out. Sean Manaea didn't work out. Cody Bellinger didn't work out. Like, yeah, the middle rounds of his draft kind of backfired on him a little bit.
Yeah, it did. But he did turn Anthony Rendon into Devers.
He did, yeah. Um,
But yes, the Franmil Reyes like through Cody Bellinger, like rounds 8, 9, and 10, I think are sort of where
and
the main issue for me lies.
and looking at his trade, like the trade where he got Devers and McNeil from Ben was a great trade for him,
Yeah,
absolutely great trade. But then he turns around and sends Jose Abreu to Joe for Trevor May and Marcus Stroman.
that was the one that I think all of us were sort of
Yeah, I think that anyone
shaking
that
our
he
heads
wants
at.
back, that would have to be it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what you're expecting from Marcus Stroman and Trevor May, who is a Mets middle reliever. Like he's not getting saves, and he ended up missing 2 months with a injury.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you trade McNeil, who's been one of the best hitters in baseball the last 2 months, for
Yep.
AJ Pollock and Corey Kluber. Like,
Yeah. I mean, we've seen it
so,
before. Like trades can be great, but they can also just completely like derail any momentum your season has.
oh,
Yes.
I'm here to tell you,
Yeah.
I've been definitely been the victim of it, and it's definitely a lot easier to look at it, from this lens than when it's your trade. But yeah, just a couple of rough moves for Lebo here, but overall, like he put together a really good team. It just was not enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Just taking a look at his schedule real quick. I mean, he was up and down. He
Yeah.
had a rough middle where he lost a bunch in a row. Um, his wins were not necessarily big wins. He got the one big win against Matt Losi.
But
But
it was probably too late anyway at that point.
yeah, it was
Um,
too late anyway. Everything else was relatively close. I mean, he doubled me up a 12-6 win in week 8.
yeah, but then he, gets, Christian got him 14-4, and um,
Chris Levy.
yeah, Chris Levy 15-4, and Joe got him 15-6, and
Yeah.
so just a lot of dump trucking here on the wrong side. So
Yeah. Yeah, the week 17 through 19 too really kind of, I mean, he was probably out of it, but 17 through 19 just put that nail in the coffin.
absolutely, yeah, those
Yeah.
are those are three really bad outings.
Yeah. Um, I mean, he's a manager I'm going to fear no matter what. He's smart, he's dedicated, he's going to make moves, he's going to fight till the end. So Brian, congrats on a great year. Um, it's always an honor to compete against you, and I look forward to keeping that competition going next year.
Same. I have the same sentiments, Brian. We'll see you next year.
Yep, absolutely. All right, you ready to move on?
Let's do it. And that's going to be your matchup, as you mentioned, taking on Ari Nisman. And you did take the 10-9 edging win over Ari, cementing your
Oh,
place as the fourth seed. Um, Close categories, you won by 4 homers by a batter, 2 RBIs, 4 walks by batters, and 22 relief appearances. Uh,
the joke never gets old.
Ari wins by a double and 2 wins. Everything else was pretty stretched out, including his 100 strikeouts to your 60. Obviously,
Yeah, no.
yeah, you knew the strategy.
Yeah, when you throw
The
400 pitchers at me in 1 week, I don't know what I'm supposed
97
to
to 2/3 innings.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
You guys tied in runs and errors. The runs being tied was interesting. So
Yeah.
yeah, well, we'll get to your bench here. Overall, you went 6 for 30, which is a nice 200 average. Well done. But the 5 runs, any one of them would have obviously won the category.
Yeah.
Uh, the one double, which would have tied the category, 3 RBIs, 4 walks, and 4 strikeouts. The one double is JD Martinez, who I know we've talked ad nauseum about. We'll probably never see the starting lineup ever again.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, on Saturday he had a double there on the bench.
Yep.
You know, but overall it obviously didn't matter at the end of the day. You know, uh, let's see, 9 ads used, 4 hitters, 3 starters, 2 relievers. It seems like I imagine the last 3 of John Gray, Braxton Garrett, and Joey Wendell were to set you up for this coming week.
Yep.
Um, I like the big day from Eric Haas. Uh, on the day you added, I think he went 3 for 5 with like a couple of bombs. So that was a nice grab.
Yes, thank you.
Any other ads you want to hit on?
Um, no, I mean the ad of Pujols was a failure. The ad of John Birdie was a failure. Um, my pitching was pretty much set. I'm kind of a fan of the Yanni Chirinos ad.
I am too. In fact, I had been watching him for all summer, waiting for him to come back, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes. Sorry about that. Sorry about
Yeah.
that.
It's all right. Let's hit your key players, and I'm gonna let you pick your favorite MVP. I think I know who it's gonna be, but I like Trout, Eloy, and J Rod were like just unstoppable this week. All three
Yeah.
of them were ridiculous. I know Mike Trout is chasing history, so I guess maybe he gets the edge. Trout, he did hit 450 with a 500 on base, 8 runs, 2 doubles, 5 homers, 8 RBIs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. I guess Mike Trout is back, huh?
Yeah, looks like it. Looks like it. So he is now homered in 7 straight games.
One for
Uh,
the record.
and yeah, one more for the record. So tomorrow we will take a look and see if Mike Trout can hit a home run and tie the record, the all-time
Yeah,
record.
yeah. It's
Exciting.
was it Griffey and Mattingly and Dale Long? Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, like I mean, Eloy had 9 RBIs, and Julio Rodriguez walked 5 times with a 538 on base. Like those three guys just are lethal.
Yeah, they carried me for sure.
Yeah. But who didn't was Mitch Haniger. Mitch Haniger did not carry you.
No.
He went 2 for 21. That's a .95 average of 167 on base, 1 run, 1 RBI, 1 walk, and 10 strikeouts, and a day to day.
He's making it very hard to keep JD Martinez on my bench. That's all I gotta say about it.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see how if he can come back from this lower back tightness.
It's called I can't hit a beach ball tightness. That's what it's called.
Yeah. I don't know where the ball is. Because like he was doing fine. He was doing all right, but yeah, this last like week or two, he's not been good.
No.
On your pitching side, I'm gonna be another homer pick and give you to Chris Bassett, who we want to talk about tonight's start. But last week, he went 7 innings, a win, a walk, 10 strikeouts, a 1.29 ERA, and a .86 WHIP. Shout out to your friend Joe Bob Herget for 4 innings in 3 appearances, nothing earned, a walk, and 4 strikeouts. So solid pitching. I think this pitching is going to take you places.
Thank you. Yeah, I like the bullpen. They've held up, and I just got Sir Anthony back.
Yes, that's huge. Doval looks like he's in a hot streak right now out of that Giants bullpen.
Yes.
Your pitching was really good this week. So I'm giving the Cy Young to Johnny Cueto.
Yeah.
It was interesting. He was good against Seattle. He was bad against Oakland. Like I would have picked it the other way around, but
yeah,
he was really bad yesterday against the A's. But overall, I mean, what a season he's had. Like
yeah. And before he pitched yesterday, my ERA I think was at like a 1.2 something.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I'm chasing wins here. I had Wade Miley in my back pocket for that night game if I needed him. If Cueto got me this win, I would have started Miley.
Sure.
But he got destroyed by the Athletics. So
who would have thought?
Figure,
right?
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, like Cueto, he's got to be the front runner for comeback player of the year. Like this guy came out of practical retirement and is like the ace of the White. Well, not the ace, but
he's up there.
Been,
yeah.
He's been solid. He's been absolutely solid.
Very reliable for me too. So
yeah, you can roll him out every 5th day, and normally you can expect quality results.
Yep.
Let's go over to Ari. Ari, of course, had bench stats. He went 21 for 89. It's a 236 average, which is pretty good actually. 10 runs, 2 doubles, 3 homers, 7 RBIs, a steal, 10 walks, and 16 strikeouts. Not the huge amount of counting stats that we're accustomed to seeing from Ari's bench.
Right.
Obviously, runs. He only needed 1 of them to win the category. The 7 RBIs, he only needed 2 to flip that category. some walks would have flipped the category, but overall, it was as good of a benching as you could ask for the kind of lineup that he has. Again, he had trouble getting like Nathaniel Lowe into the lineup. He had trouble getting Dansby Swanson into the lineup. Wilmer Flores was terrible when he was in the lineup, but was great when he was on the bench. A lot of moving pieces in that lineup, and it's always tough to figure that out.
I was actually shocked that he didn't play Dansby Swanson all week. But like, I mean, Elvis Andrus was great this week.
Right.
But like, still, why even on Monday are you starting Andrus over Swanson? I mean, obviously he knew something that I didn't know, but
maybe he just likes the name Elvis.
maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe. But Swanson had a pretty decent week on the bench, so
He did. Yeah. He had a good week. His ads this week, he made 3, 1 hitter and 2 starters. Nothing really great. Notable. He dropped Stephen Kwan finally. Of course, the day that he dropped him, he went 3 for 5 with 2 runs, a homer, an RBI, and a steal.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yep.
Dropped Lourdes Gurriel, his 10th round pick, but he's on the IL. And then obviously the Elvis Andrus pickup was tremendous.
Yeah. Elvis Andrus pickup was, I hate it. I hate it so much. It was awesome. Yeah.
Homers, 9 RBIs. Again, he's like the Johnny Cueto, of the offense side.
Yeah.
Like this guy was out, dead, out for dead, and here he is. Who knew? Key players. We're gonna talk about your best friend, Nico Hoerner. Nico Hoerner, he went 10 for 20. That's a 500 average of 545 on base, 7 runs, 2 doubles, 2 triples, a homer, 2 RBIs, 2 steals, a walk, and an error.
No strikeouts.
No strikeouts. Not a single one in 20 at bats. He did come out of last night's game with a tricep injury. He's not in the lineup today, so bright side, baby.
No.
Lane Thomas. Lane Thomas had a great week. Los Angeles, we talked about, he had a great week. Even Rhys Hoskins had a nice week. He had a really good offensive week. He hit 295 for the week, so he definitely has the offense to carry him. It's just a matter of whether he can get the right pieces in at the right time.
Yeah.
His least valuable hitter, I am going to give it to Wilmer Flores. He did bench a 2-run home run from him on Sunday, but while he was in, he went 1 for 24, which is a 042 and 080 on base with 7 strikeouts and nothing else. So, but he did get a 2-year contract extension, so that's good.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah.
It was the only reprieve that I had the entire week when Wilmer Flores came to bat. That's it.
Yeah, because like everybody else was good. I mean, even Tyler O'Neill, he batted 211, but like two RBIs, a home run, and a steal. Like everybody did something on this team, and this is a tough offense to battle against.
Yes. I'm glad I came away with a couple of these categories here.
Yeah, lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 RBIs. I mean, he had 7 RBIs on the bench. So.
Yep.
His Cy Young is a guy we haven't talked about much this year, but Lance Lynn.
Yeah.
13 innings, nothing earned, 2 wins, 2 walks, 16 strikeouts, a .62 WHIP. 2 really good starts against Oakland and Seattle. He's actually been really good.
Yeah.
He hadn't been, and ever since the calendar flipped to August, he's really been, probably what Ari was hoping for when he drafted him in the 14th round, which now is kind of looking like a steal at this point.
Yeah.
I know he was hurt coming into the year, so he probably had a little bit of a discount, but still.
Yeah.
But his Cy Young, you can give it to Dylan Bundy or Daniel Lynch or Adrian Martinez because they all were terrible.
Yeah. They were.
Pick your favorite. 4 2/3 a loss, 3 homers, and a strikeout for Dylan Bundy with a 13.50 ERA and a 2.57 WHIP. Lynch with a 14.73, Martinez 17.18. I mean, they were terrible. So,
Yeah.
you know, combined with your incredible pitching, you have these three putting up double-digit ERAs, and that's never going to win ERA in that way.
No. And if I have to pick my favorite, I'm going to pick Daniel Lynch because it was early in the week and it was against the Tigers. And I was actually nervous about this start. And I was like, oh, man. But that's the day that I added Eric Haas. So
and he went bananas.
He went bananas. So it's such a feel-good moment.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So now we talked about Ari's matchup with Jimmy, and now you are about to face the reigning, defending champion, Ben Nisman. So you go from one Nisman to the other. How you feeling?
Man, I mean, I'm never excited to play either Nisman, but I think that the matchup with Ben maybe caters to my strengths a little more than the matchup with Ari. I guess because I'm sort of used to playing the bullpen game a little bit more than I am the streaming starter game. And I knew going into that matchup with Ari, like I have no chance of winning the bulk categories. Like he has 4 starters on Monday and 3 starters going on Tuesday. Like that's 7 starters with 2 start weeks. So I'm already screwed. It was Monday and I knew I was screwed.
Yeah.
But I knew I had to get to 42 innings, and it reached a point though where it was confusing because I actually had 5 wins at like 40 something innings, and I was beating Ari in wins. And I was like, damn, I have to actually keep playing some starters here. He wound up grabbing a bunch over the weekend, but yeah, I just feel like I'm more comfortable with the Ben Nisman showdown. But knowing him, I mean, he always finds a way with these scrappy ass players on his offense to like
Kevin Newman.
Yeah, the Kevin Newmans and the Jeremy Pena that he added today, who's 3 for 5 with a bunch of runs.
And we know the shortstop has been kind of a black hole for him this year. We'll get to Ben's team in a minute.
Yeah.
But Jeremy Pena could solidify that for him.
Yeah. It really could. So as comfortable as I could feel going into it, I'm never comfortable playing Ben. So it's going to be a good matchup. I really do want some revenge for the times that I've played Ben in the past. We determined yesterday we're 1-1 against each other in the playoffs.
Okay.
But I took a crushing loss to him. He took a crushing championship loss to me. So it's
this is a big matchup. I did see you guys got together yesterday and had a little bit of bubbly. Looked like you guys laid the groundwork, shook hands, and now you're at war.
Yeah, we did. I asked him. I looked at him right in the eyes. I said, "Are you not talking to me the rest of the week?" He's like, "No, probably not." So we're not going to speak, but I love you, Ben, and if you beat me, I'm gonna, I'll tip my cap to you because I respect your strategy and you as a competitor. So
may the best New Jerseyan win.
Yes. Well said. Shall we move on?
Yeah, and let's move on to that guy Ben taking on your brother. And this was the only not upset amongst the playoff teams, and this was a win that Ben needed to have, and he got it.
Yeah. Is this mine? This is mine, right?
It's yours. Take it away.
All right. So Ben takes a 10-8 win. Close categories here. Ben wins by 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, 7 strikeouts by a batter, 3 saves, and 5 relief appearances. Josh wins by 2 doubles, 5 walks by a batter, 2 errors, 14 ticks on the on base, and he wins by 6.1 innings pitched. They tied in triples with 0, stolen bases with 3, home runs given up by a pitcher with 9.
Wow.
So we will start with Ben left on his bench. Ben goes 10 for 53, which is a nice little 189 average. He did leave 7 runs on the bench, a home run, an RBI, 5 walks, 9 strikeouts. 7 runs and the 5 walks would have tied those respective categories, but to get all of those in every day would have been so tough. So,
and I'm looking at his Sunday, and he benched most of his hitters. Not everybody. He started some guys. But again, I wish he was here. I'd love to know, why Yuli Gurriel gets started. Maybe there's pitching matchup he liked. I don't know.
Yeah.
But overall it seemed to work because he went 3 for 10. And looks like his bench didn't do anything great. So maybe it worked out. It's just interesting strategy.
Yeah, I guess he was at a point where he's like, you know what, it's too far. It's 7-run deficit here going into Sunday. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
So
not get. I guess maybe strikeouts were kind of close.
I mean,
Yeah.
you're down by only 2 doubles though, and you're tied in steals. I do feel like maybe you could play some more of your players, but
Yeah,
I don't know. It did work out for him. So
it did. Can't argue with it.
There was only one day on his bench, one blunder here that I think, which was Saturday, because we know that Sunday was purposeful benchings.
Sure.
Saturday, he left Josh Donaldson on the bench and he left Yuli Gurriel on the bench. The two of them combined 5 for 8, 3 runs, a home run, and an RBI. Carlos Santana 1 for 4 with 3 strikeouts at first, and Colton Long 0 for 3 with a walk and 2 strikeouts at utility. So you get those guys in, you can get some of those stats back. But again, it's not really enough to catch anything. So
right, and at the end of the day, he got the win that he needed. So it's hard, at this point, it's nitpicky at this point.
Right. He used all 12 ads. Some of them were after the bell in our little ad war that we had on a Sunday night.
Yes, that was fun to watch.
Yeah, it was fun. 5 hitters, 5 relief pitchers, and 2 starters. The only real notable ads I want to point out were, first of all, Yoan Moncada, who came back from the IL and kind of has a little bit of a resurgence here. He had a big game on the 8th here, 5 for 6 with 2 home runs. It's been a rough year for Moncada. But if he can hit second in this lineup, and who knows when Luis Robert comes back, if he's bumped from that spot, but if Luis
he ever
Robert
comes back.
Yeah.
But Moncada has always been an on-base guy, and that's Ben's, forte is on-base guys. So if he can rediscover any of that magic, this could be a great pickup for Ben.
Yeah, it could be. And I didn't think he really loved having Donaldson as his everyday third baseman anyway, so this gives him sort of a chance at something new. His other notable ad that I want to point out is Jose Suarez. The reason why I won't want to point him out is because so Max Scherzer's on the IL. He dropped Adrian Sampson. So he's got Kershaw and he's got Miles Michaelis. Those are his 2 starters. But he added this Jose Suarez, who's been kind of great lately.
Yeah, he really has.
As that number 3 that can push him to that 42 threshold. So I think that's a really important ad for him. Because that's all he wants to do this week against me is get to 42. So
yeah, that's all he needs.
That's all he needs. All right, key players for Ben. Sort of weird key player here, but he didn't really hit that well. No one really stuck out either. So we're gonna go with a guy who's no longer on his team. Yadier Molina.
He dropped him.
So Yadier Molina for his short little run on Ben's team went 6 for 14 with a 429 average, 467 on base, 2 runs, a double, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, and then he got the boot. See you later,
Thanks.
Yadi.
Yep.
Thanks for that. His least valuable player, which God, fingers crossed if he keeps this cold streak going. Because this guy hates me, Charlie Blackmon. A run, 2 RBIs, a walk, 2 strikeouts, but he went 2 for 16. So that's a 125 average and a 222 on base.
I mean, working in your favor is the Rockies are on the road this week. So
yes.
you
So
know.
the Grichuk and Blackmon combo should hopefully be a little bit
Reduced.
common.
Yeah.
Yes, a little bit. On the pitching side, his Cy Young will go to the aforementioned Jose Suarez, who pitched 7 shutout innings against the Detroit Tigers. So 7 innings, a win, a walk, 7 strikeouts, nothing earned, and an 0.57 WHIP. The Cy Yuck, because there's not a lot of options here, we're gonna go with Miles Michaelis, who went 5 innings, a loss, a home run, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts, a 7.20 ERA, and a 2 WHIP. Obviously, other guys had bigger, a little bit bigger ERAs, but didn't really contribute in the negative too much. Like Taylor Rogers got him a save and 8 strikeouts and 5 relief appearances. So
the Mets fan of me though wants to give it to Kenley Jansen for thank you for blowing that save on Sunday.
Yeah, but he did get the 2 saves though.
Yeah, he did. Oh, it was a good week. It was just that the one blow up, but Sunday was that was an incredible game, that Mariners Braves game.
Yes, it was. I think my brother texted me and said he's officially rooting for the Mariners in the AL after that game. Yeah. Speaking of my brother, let's flip over to his team.
Good segue.
Yeah, really good segue, right? on his bench, Josh goes 11 for 46, which is a 239 average. 6 runs, a double, 2 home runs, 8 RBIs, a steal, 7 walks, and 10 strikeouts. The only thing that plays is that the stolen base would have won that category. The stolen base came on Wednesday the 7th, and Gleyber Torres, who had a doubleheader, was sitting on his bench. He only got 1 hit in this doubleheader. He went 1 for 7, but he scored 2 runs. He hit a 2-run homer. He stole a base and he walked 3 times. So
that's as good of a horrible day as you could have.
Right. And look at the rest of what Josh did on that day. So like a whole lot of nothing. So this would have helped to have Gleyber in there, especially for that steal. But like Nick Gordon was playing really well. He's kind of riding a hot bat here, and Torres has been absolute dog poop. So
well, Ahmed Rosario has 2, so like that could have been a play.
Yeah, true.
And still had because Nick Gordon was in that same double header. You put Rosario to sleep, and you have 2 guys in a doubleheader at Yankee Stadium. Like,
yeah, true. Is Rosario a sick dog? You put him to sleep.
Yes, he's playing like one, so why not?
Right. Yeah, I guess it's time to put Rosario to sleep, in the words of Jason Ashby. Transactions this week, Josh only used 6. He added 4 starters. I guess he was kind of chasing the innings, which he wound up winning. 1 hitter and 1 relief pitcher. Not too many notable adds. He did add CJ Abrams, who I'm assuming is, now that we're in the consolation, I guess this guy could be a fixture on his team. I'm not looking at totals. He does have Machado as well, so I think that's kind of a nice pairing to have CJ Abrams and Machado together. And Abrams has been hitting pretty well since he came back up. So
yeah, and he has the same positions as Gleyber Torres. So if you're feeling that Gleyber is going to keep struggling, this guy's riding hot.
Yeah,
you can put him wherever you have Gleyber and be okay.
Yeah, and I feel like he's pretty well prepared for consolation run, given all of this eligibility here.
Yeah, so Nick Gordon was a great a great pickup.
Yes.
I know it was a couple weeks ago, but great ad for him to have in the
Yeah.
back pocket.
Yeah. He's got every single position here covered except
Yeah.
for catcher. So Jonah Heim running with him.
Yep.
He also, I know he's excited about Blake Trinan coming back, but once again, Blake Trinan goes on the IL after throwing an inning. So
That's tough. You're
yeah.
waiting all year for this guy to come back, and he
Yep.
throws one
Yeah. And Freddie Peralta, like another guy that you're waiting to come
inning.
back.
Yeah.
And then once again, right back up to the IL after a
Yeah.
month of baseball. So
That's terrible.
yeah, yeah. It's tough. Key players for Josh, we're gonna highlight. It was actually kind of tough to find an offensive one. Nobody stuck out as like you contributed a lot to this team. So we're gonna give it to Alex Verdugo here, who ends the week with 9 for 25, which is a 360 average, of 429 on base, 4 runs, a double, a homer, 2 RBIs, 3 walks, and 2 strikeouts. Which is fine.
Yeah.
Nothing to write home about. His least valuable player will go with aforementioned Jonah Heim, who goes 1 for 11, 0.91 average, and a 0.091 on base with 1 strikeout. Cy Young, we're gonna
Yeah.
give it to Dylan Floro here, who kind of came out of nowhere and maybe snagged his closer job back. 3 innings, a win, a save, a strikeout, nothing earned, 0.33 whip, 2 relief appearances only, but if you're going to get a win and a save in your 2 appearances, it's pretty awesome. So,
And Josh's pitching was not too good this week. With
no.
a
So
6.67 ERA.
yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah, so we're going to move on to the Cy Yuck now, which
Which one?
it's kind of everyone else, but I do want to highlight probably the worst one, which is Jordan Lyles, 3 2/3, a loss, a home run, a walk, a strikeout, a 1964. What happened in 1964? I don't know. I'm not a history teacher or anything. And a 2.18 whip. That was against Boston, and that was the game they lost 17-4. So
I mean, I don't know if that happened in 1964, but it sure sounded like the Boston Tea Party right there.
oh no, you're like
No.
200 years off,
Okay. All right.
but it's okay.
Thanks for
It was a
fact
good
checking
try.
me.
Yeah, yeah. So both of these teams coming up next. We talked about Ben's matchup with me. Josh is going to face off against Bobby in the consolation bracket. I'm not sure either one of them care. I'm not sure either one of them will try very hard. Who knows? I'm sure Josh will continue to check his lineup.
Yeah.
Because like he's very similar to me. Like he wants to play till the end, and
It's and it's interesting because it'd be a fun matchup to watch in the regular season.
Oh yeah.
Two really savvy managers. It just at this point they really can only be as savvy as the guys on the roster will let them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. And it's almost like a bummer that everyone below the championship bracket can't make ads, but at the same, like, it makes sense.
I mean, you're right.
Yeah.
I get the reasoning behind it. It's
Yeah.
just it definitely dilutes the 7 through 12 teams.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
All right. So, we haven't seen the end of either one of these teams, so I think it's time to move on to our next matchup here.
Let's do that. And this is going to be another upset. It's Matt Losi taking an 11-7 win over Christian Wood, and Christian just not able to make that rookie magic propel him into the playoffs here.
No. And I'm gonna be a little hard on him at the end of this. Just a little bit.
Rightfully so.
Yeah. This was a matchup. Okay, I do want to preface this because Christian was, I believe it was like 7.5 or 8 games out of a playoff spot going into the week. So yes, it was not the most realistic idea that he was going to clinch a playoff spot. But at the same time, if you need a blowout win, this is your chance. This is the time to do it in week 21 against the 16 seeded team. And he falls way short. He can't even get a victory. He can't even come close to a victory here.
Yeah.
And so what I'm going to pinpoint a couple of things that I do think can be attributed to Christian being a rookie manager. And it's nothing against him, but I do think some rookie mistakes were made here.
Sure.
So let's start with the close categories here. Matt, who won the week, won by 1 run, 1 triple, 1 home run, 3 walks by a hitter, 10 ticks on the batting average, 1 home run by a pitcher, a .19 ERA, and 1 relief appearance. That is a lot of close categories.
That is a lot.
Christian wins by 1 double. He wins by 1 steal, 5 walks by a pitcher, 9 strikeouts by a pitcher, and 10 ticks on the whip. They tied in RBIs with 27, and they tied in wins and losses with 5 and 2, respectively.
Wow.
So starting with Matt's team here, on his bench, Matt goes 8 for 17, which is not good.
Oof.
That's a
No.
471 average on the bench. 4 runs, a double, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, 2 walks and an error. And there were 0 strikeouts on his bench. I think this is the first time all season that I have seen a manager
Have 0
have
strikeouts.
0 strikeouts on his bench,
Mm.
which is really interesting because there were a lot of strikeouts in his lineup. So we're going to get to that in a second.
Yeah, I mean, both of them had a bunch of strikeouts.
Yes. The 1 double would have tied the category. The 7 RBIs would have flipped the category. So in a sense here, he actually could have put a bigger beat down on Christian.
Yeah.
But missed a couple of opportunities here.
Where the double, I mean, really Sunday, right? He had a double and 2 RBIs. That was all he needed.
So I'm going to tell you the main problem Matt had this week. It was you have 2 hot catchers and Shohei Ohtani. How do we get the 3 of them in the lineup? There's no way. So he kept trying different combinations of Sean Murphy and Shohei, or Sean Murphy and Salvador, and benching Shohei. Every single day, it felt like he made the wrong choice. Like on Tuesday, he put Sean Murphy on the bench. Shohei went 0 for 4 with a strikeout utility. On Wednesday, he put Salvi on the bench. Sean Murphy 0 for 3, catcher. On Saturday, Salvi on the bench. Sean Murphy 0 for 3. Salvador Perez 2 for 3 with a run and an RBI. And on Sunday, he's like, you know what? Screw this. I'm putting both catchers in my lineup. Shohei Ohtani 2 for 4 with a run, a double, a home run, 2 RBIs, and a walk on the bench.
I mean, that's the thing though, is that you don't bench Shohei Ohtani, and if you're gonna have a guy like that, is gonna eat up your utility spot, you probably don't need 2 catchers or 2 guys who have the same position eligibility. Because you never get all 3 of them in the lineup the same day.
Right. And you know what? If Sean Murphy's been good, that's great. But if I have Salvador Perez on my team, let someone else have Sean Murphy.
Right. Why am I bothering with Sean Murphy?
Yeah. Why bother?
I mean, it's one thing if Salvador Perez was banged up, he's injury prone, but he's been playing. Let him play.
He's been playing. And you know what? Sean Murphy's having a great season for a catcher. This could be like a top 5 catcher next year.
Sure.
But you don't need to. You really don't. It's a waste.
Rookie mistake.
Matt made 1 ad. He added 1 hitter, TJ Friedel. And if there's ever a Jewish name, that's a Jewish name right there.
Yep. Spins the dreidel.
Yeah. Friedel spins the dreidel. That is his only ad of the week. So that is the only notable ad we will talk about. Key players this week. Well, we will bring up Xander Bogaerts again, who's having a nice end to the season. He goes 7 for 18, which is a 389 average, a 455 on base, 3 runs, a home run, 3 RBIs, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts. His least valuable player is Ty France, who looks like he's battling some kind of injury right now. Ty France goes 3 for 22, 2 runs, 2 doubles, an RBI, and 5 strikeouts. And he is battling a wrist,
Okay.
whatever
Okay.
wrist it means. His Cy Young finally is going to go to Logan Webb. 13 innings, 2 wins, a home run, 12 strikeouts, 2.77 ERA, a 1 WHIP, a 2-start week, 1 against the Dodgers and 1 against
Yeah.
the Cubs, and he takes down 2 wins, which
That's impressive.
it
It's
is.
funny because there was a point in the season where Logan Webb was his only Cy Young. Like I remember, like it was constantly Logan Webb, Logan Webb, Logan Webb, and then he like fell off a cliff and
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
lost it.
Yep. And not even against good teams.
No.
He lost to Detroit, to Arizona.
Yep.
Arizona.
I watched that Detroit game because I think there was a Matt Manning start for Detroit, and I
Okay.
couldn't believe how roughed up he was getting against the Tigers. Like this
Yeah.
is Logan Webb. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, he had his ups and downs this year for sure, but so did the Giants. And I feel like if the Giants were competing a little better, maybe he'd have more motivation to kick it into high gear. I don't know.
truth. Yep.
Cy Young, we're gonna give it to Michael Kopech. He goes 3 2/3 this week. 1 home run, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, a 9.82 ERA, and a 1.64 WHIP. And that start came against the Mariners.
Yeah, and that was his first start coming back from the injured list.
Yeah.
I know he was out for a little bit. Yeah.
Yep. All right, so let's shift gears here to Christian's team. On his bench, Christian goes 14 for 71, which batting average wise is not bad. It's a 197.
Sure.
He leaves 7 runs, 5 doubles, 3 home runs, 10 RBIs, 4 walks, 27 strikeouts on the bench. He did a good job with the strikeouts, putting a lot of strikeouts on his bench. That's good.
Yeah.
The other categories, the counting stats are concerning. 7 runs would have flipped the category. 3 home runs would have flipped the category. 10 RBIs would have won the category. 4 walks would have flipped the category. And if he got those in there, that's an 11-8 victory for him.
Yeah, and the thing is, you didn't even need all of them. You only needed 2 runs, 2 of the 7 runs. You only needed 1 of the 10 RBIs. Like,
yeah, you needed 2 of the 3 home runs. Like he didn't have to be perfect. There were ways that he could do this. And here are some of the things that I'm going to point out. First of all, I want to look at Tuesday. Christian decided. So first of all, David Peralta is not starting. Josh Naylor is not starting. You have first base open. You have left field open. Granted, you're 7 games out of a playoff spot in 7th place. You got to be doing everything you can in this moment to get bats into the lineup on a Tuesday.
Right.
If this is Saturday and you're like, close in strikeouts, sure. But on a Tuesday, that's number 1. Number 2, I don't care who is pitching for which team. Why is Bryce Harper on your bench?
No.
I'm sorry, but nothing drives me crazier than like, oh, I'm gonna play matchups and Bryce Harper.
You didn't draft him in the first round to be a matchup guy, to be sitting on your bench.
Yeah, and I don't care if he's been cold. I mean, you see what Joe is doing with Juan Soto. Like he's been ice cold, but Juan Soto is gonna play every day.
He can go off at any minute.
He can go off at any minute. So Bryce Harper on the bench. There's a run and a double. Yeah, he strikes out 3 times, but still, Bryce Harper on the bench. Nolan Gorman on the bench, which you have first base open. You have Chris Taylor that can move to left field, and you can throw Gorman in there.
Rowdy Tellez, utility.
Throw Rowdy Tellez, and then put Bryce Harper in your lineup.
Or just sit Rowdy Tellez for Bryce Harper and be done with it.
Yeah, you can do that too. So that's first of all, that's Tuesday. there's no excuse for not having Harper in your lineup every day. I'm not sure
Yeah.
what the decision process was. Maybe it was an Alcantara start. That's fine. Bryce Harper needs to be in the lineup. Next.
I can tell you that it was not. It was Jesus Luzardo.
Okay. So it was a lefty, but I don't care. It's Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
The other thing that I want to point out here is you have players on your team that, so Jose Siri is on his team. He got into the lineup once this week. Isaac Paredes did not play one game this week. Didn't have one at bat for Christian this week. Max Kepler had one at bat this week. That's 3 players that are taking up roster positions that you are not using all week. Meanwhile, you lose relief appearances by 1.
Yeah.
You tied in wins. You have 3 roster spots that you can use to get relief appearances, to chase wins.
Even innings was
Even
close enough.
innings. It's or innings. And you used 2 ads this week. I'm kind of at a loss right now for
I mean, I know like home runs and ERA and WHIP was all close, but like you got to go for those categories that you can get.
what do you have to lose at this point?
Yeah.
You either don't make the playoffs or you do. I mean, who
Got to
cares
go for
if
it.
you, yeah. I don't know. Using 2, like if I was that close to a playoff spot, all 12 ads would be gone. I'd be chasing every category I could. I'd be playing my stars every day. I don't know if what you tell me. Do you think this is like a rookie being a rookie, or do you think I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, possibly. Maybe he just felt like he was not, as close to being in it as we do,
Yeah.
and he just, didn't have his foot, to pedal to the metal.
Right.
I don't know, if he was busy or what life was like, but yeah, definitely a lot of head scratchers, and with how close he actually was to making it in, it was kind of a letdown.
Yeah.
Uh, and not to take away from the amazing rookie season that he put up,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I
even
agree.
be in this conversation. Look, he's going against the other rookie of the league, who was a 16 seed. So like,
Right.
the fact that we're having this conversation shows how good he was all year. It's
Agreed.
just this week 21 was not a good showing.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Not when it counted, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So he, like I said, he used 2 ads. Sorry, but that was my rant. 2 ads, 2 starting pitchers, Mitch White and Javier Asshat.
Yes.
So that's it.
Befuddled the Mets tonight.
Oh, really? Asshat?
Yes. Yeah.
Key players for Christian, we're gonna highlight. Let me get back into the matchup totals here. We're gonna highlight Taylor Ward, who had a nice week, 8 for 19, which is a 421 average, 400 on base, 4 runs, a double, a home run, 4 RBIs, 3 strikeouts, and an error. Least valuable, Bryce Harper. 2 for 15, a 133 average, 278, 2 runs, a double, a home run, 3 RBIs, 3 walks, and 7 strikeouts. The only reason I mention him is because of everything we talked about. I mean,
Yeah.
Playing him at the right time, putting him on the bench, like, yeah, 2 for 15 isn't great, but who cares? He's got it. He's got to be in right field.
You didn't spend that first round pick on a guy you're not going to start.
Nope. Cy Young, let's move to the pitching. Drew Rasmussen, 6 innings, a win, 10 strikeouts, nothing earned, and 1 whip. That was in New York against the Yankees.
Yeah.
The Cy Young is the aforementioned, I love that word tonight, Mitch White. 2.1 innings pitched, a loss, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, 1929 Great Depression. 5.7 whip, and that was in Baltimore.
Wow. He's an interesting ad there, because he's been not good ever since the trade to Toronto. He hasn't been good either.
Yeah.
And that is a Great Depression ERA right there.
Yes, it is. Next up for both of these guys, Christian is on a bye in the consolation bracket in that 7th seed. And Matt Losi is finished for the season. So let's real quick take a look at his draft. I remember after his draft, some of us actually were pretty impressed at what he did. Here it is.
Yeah,
He's got
I mean, looking at the names at the time, this was a really good draft.
yeah, at the time. This
Yeah,
is when Barrios and Logan Webb and Trevor Rogers were all names that we were like, oh shit.
Austin Meadows,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I mean Shohei in the first round, Xander Bogaerts. Like, I don't think any of these were like a swing and a miss. Like, wow, this was a horrible pick. Obviously, Jose Barrios didn't pan out, but
again, at the time, the guy pitching for Toronto, like,
yeah,
okay, yeah, he's in a tough division, but like he's playing for the Blue Jays. He's gonna get
yeah.
wins.
I really
Um,
liked his rounds 9 and 10. I thought Michael Kopech and Ty France were like two great picks at where he got them. Um,
absolutely.
Jesus Luzardo was a fun pick in round 17. Like, he got some really nice pieces. I mean, I do know for a fact that he was so thrown off when all the closers were gone before round 10. Um, and he's like, what the hell is going on in this league? I have no clue what's happening right now.
Which is fascinating that he was astonished by it, because that's never happened in the bigs before. Usually the closers go until it wasn't until Ben decided that Diaz and Jansen and Kimbrel and all of them were going to be his closers. Before that, all the closers lasted until the mid rounds.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, do you think that a boost in innings pitched minimum, like a boost in the minimum, do you think that would actually retract from closers being grabbed too early? Like, maybe it would put more value on some of the starters. I don't know.
Yeah, or at least like, or at least like even like mid reliever setup guys, because they're gonna have to pitch to at least three batters.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so chances are they're probably gonna pitch a full inning, maybe.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, and we've seen with teams now that the term closer doesn't really apply as much as it does, as it used to.
no, it doesn't.
Especially in Tampa, or in places where Boston, where it could be anybody at any time.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah, it's true.
um,
I do feel
I'm
like there were some throwaway picks towards the end of the draft.
sure.
Um,
I do like the Alex Kirilloff pick at the time. I thought that was a really cool move. This
yep.
kid could have come up and lit the world on fire. Didn't quite work out, but that could have easily been a really solid pick at 19.
Yeah. And even John Means in the 15th round, I thought was a nice pick. Like,
Yeah. Yep.
look at what Baltimore's doing. Imagine if they had this guy on their team. Like,
Yeah. But then you
that's
get
how,
guys like like Denelson Lamet and Blake Trinan, and guys who just kind of just disappeared, and
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Tommy Pham when he wasn't on the Red Sox. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
um,
Yeah,
and I'm looking at. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. I was just gonna say it was a bizarre draft, like, because his first couple rounds I was really impressed, and then it just, for me, it seemed like it kind of like tailspun at the end. But
Yeah, it's almost as if like he almost as if he got tired. You know, like
yeah, yeah,
because look, I mean, 26 rounds is a long draft, and
marathon. Yeah,
yeah, and if you're used to doing a draft with more like 20 or 21 rounds, it could be exhausting, especially with 16 teams. It's not your everyday league.
it
That's
is.
why it's
You're
big.
right, and it's here he is in round 10, looking at the rest of our teams, seeing, oh shit, there are 7 relief pitcher slots that I need to fill right now. And you could
Yeah,
see him compensating for that at the end with like Chafin and Thielbar and Meza and Tapera, like these middle relievers that don't really do much for a fantasy team, but
Right, they're not really draftable.
no.
I mean, they're really darts.
Yeah, yeah. So
Um,
I'm sure he learned a lot from this experience. Um,
I'm looking at his trades, and he only made two. Obviously, the big one was the one with you, where he sent gave you J.D. Martinez, Gleyber Torres, and Trevor Rogers, and
yep.
you sent Anthony Bender, Michael Wacha, Jeffrey Springs, and Chris Sale. Interesting trade. Um,
In the end, it didn't do much for either
yeah,
of us, honestly. Springs and Waka are two regrets that I have because has been great, Waka's been good. Um, JD, I don't even want to talk about him anymore. I did turn Gleyber Torres into Camilo Doval, which was huge for me.
sure.
So I don't know.
And Trevor Rogers, when you traded him too, right? And
Yeah,
that same, yeah.
yeah,
So I mean, ultimately, it ends up being kind of a wash, except that, yeah, like you said, Walker and Springs have been good.
yeah,
And his other trade was Patrick Wisdom for Zach Plesac, which was kind of a throwaway deal. So nothing really to write home about with his trades this year.
yeah. And when we take a look at a schedule for a 16 seed team, like this is what you're gonna see.
It's
Unfortunately,
ugly.
it's
Yeah,
ugly. It's ugly. He got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 wins in total on the season.
which
Um, I don't think
I just
he didn't tie once this season.
wow. All right, so everything was a win or loss.
So he goes 6 and 15.
Interesting,
Yeah.
interesting. Um, I mean, do you know how's he feeling? Is he uh you know looking forward to next year? Like I hope he's learned something, and I hope that he's able to come back and grow from it.
Yeah, I think he still wants to be a part of it. I plan to have a conversation with him and see where his head's at. He did come up to me today in the hallway at school and say, got that fantasy win. And I was like, Matt,
So he's looking, he's
he
watching, he's doing
is.
so
And
good for him.
you saw him with the Salvador Perez and Shohei and Sean Murphy. Like he was playing with his team all the time,
Sure.
trying,
So
So
so come back next year and be a sophomore, and
yeah,
you know that's the thing about the bigs, is like anybody could win it at any time.
yeah,
Like, yeah.
it is true. It is true. But Matt, congratulations on your first full year with us. It's been a pleasure beating the crap out of you. And next year, bring it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So hats off, Matt. All right. We have one matchup left, yes? Two matchups.
We have two matchups left.
All right.
This next one is this is gonna be Mike Sherman putting an end to Frank's wish of trying to make the playoffs. It was a pipe dream. It could have happened maybe, but at the end of the day, Mike Sherman takes the 11-9 win over Frank. Just not enough to get Frank over the hurdle, so he'll be sitting in the consolation bracket. Um, Close categories for Mike, who won the week. He won by one homer by a batter, two walks by a batter, and one loss. He had 0 losses on the week, which I thought was interesting,
Yeah.
in 56 innings. So it's pretty
Very
good.
nice. Very
Yeah.
nice.
Frank wins by a steal, an error, 2 wins, 3 saves, 9 ticks on the whip, and 3 relief appearances, and they tied in home runs allowed with 8. On the bench this week for Mike Sherman, he goes 4 for 14, which is a 286 average, 3
Okay.
runs, a homer, RBI, 1 RBI, 1 steal, a walk and 3 strikeouts. The only thing that plays is the steal. He won all the other offensive categories. The steal did come on Wednesday. Uh, it was an interesting play here because you had Stanton and LeMahieu both out of the lineup for the Yankees doubleheader,
Uh,
and Espinal on the bench with the stolen base. So you could move pieces around.
but
Once they're out,
are you wondering if like one of them will get into the late game?
exactly
That's
right.
tough.
That's tough. That's tough.
Yeah.
You think they would, right? I mean, unless they were hurt, which I don't know when LeMahieu's injury popped up. Um,
This
but
this was what day? This was the
this was
7th.
yeah. So he was already okay. So he was already hurt. He was
He
already
was
out the
already
playoffs.
hurt, and Stanton.
I don't know why was Stanton out of for both games? Was he hurt?
Yeah, he was just a little banged up. He had like a foot issue, but
Okay.
um, and the day before the game was postponed, so I don't think we knew that he wasn't. I don't think we knew there was like necessarily an issue.
Okay.
So like Stanton, I feel like is understandable, but the DJ move, like if you can figure out how, but did he have a way of getting Espinal in?
No, really, it would have been to Stanton. It would have been
Yeah,
moving Victor Reyes into left field and moving Espinal into the utility spot. Would have been
right,
the only play to make at that point.
right.
Which is a shame.
Yeah,
Um, but overall, a good bench week for Mike. He did use 6 ads. All of them were hitters. Uh, Nothing really notable. He played some more catcher roulette. There was
yeah,
Jose Trevino, there was Jansen, there was Vasquez. He kind of has been going through these catchers all year long, and he used that all the way up to the final end.
yeah.
We'll hit on his key players. Good offensive week for him this week. I'm giving his MVP to Trey Turner, who
Yeah.
went 9 for 26. It's a 346 average, a 393 on base, 7 runs, 2 doubles, a triple, a homer, 6 RBIs, 2 steals, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, and a partridge in a pear tree.
Yeah.
It
Wow.
was
Yeah.
it was a full week for Trey Turner this week. I'm telling you, he's going to be one of the top picks again next year.
Yeah.
He was second overall. I don't know if he's second overall quality right now, but like I think he means more for the Dodgers than he does for fantasy. Is what the problem is.
I mean, he's doing a little bit of everything. I didn't think he was gonna replicate the power that he had last year.
But 20 home runs and 96 RBIs, and he's batting first or second pretty much every day. He's driving
Yeah.
96 runs. That's impressive.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, maybe he convinced me. I don't know. I don't know that I could pick him over like a Juan Soto or like a I don't know.
Even after the year that Soto's put up, huh?
Yeah, I don't it's tough.
Yeah. We'll see. We got 8 months or so to figure it out.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, well, we should
His least valuable hitter, this guy is not going to be drafted next year. Jorge Mateo is awful. He went 1 for 16. That's a .063 average, a 111 on base, 2 runs. His only hit of the week was a triple, so I guess that's something.
Yeah, there's that.
An RBI, a walk, and 3 strikeouts. I mean the eligibility is nice. That second, short, and center, but and obviously the steals is what you're going for here with him. But
Yeah.
you're taking a big hit with all the strikeouts, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
Suarez had a good week too.
Suarez had a great week, and so did Lindor.
Yeah.
And Rosarena had a great week. Yeah, he had a lot of good candidates for MVP.
Yeah.
Yeah. Suarez with us on Sunday, the 2 big home runs was huge for
Yeah.
the NL East division title.
It was. It was.
For the pitching side, we're gonna give the Cy Young to Triston McKenzie, 12 2/3 over 2 starts, a win, 1 homer allowed, 4 walks, 10 strikeouts, a 1.42 ERA, and a 1.03 WHIP. This kid's been fantastic, and
Yeah.
what a find in the 14th round. What a
Yeah.
pick.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. His Cy Young, he pitched really well this week. He pitched to a 2.57 ERA, Mike Sherman. So this was a little tough. Brian Shaw was bad, but that was just one outing. Luis Trevino was bad, but that was just one outing. So I'm gonna give it to Mike Clevenger. It was against the Dodgers, which I forgive, but
Yeah.
it was the second straight start against the Dodgers, and he was terrible in both. So,
Yeah.
it was tough
Yeah.
to pick.
And this guy, I
Um,
mean, wow. I
yeah,
guess he hasn't played a full season, but still, it's not Mike Clevenger numbers.
No. And this is an 11th round pick, and
Yeah.
I don't know. That might have been a little, maybe in retrospect, a little bit aggressive, but
Yeah. Yeah, I think
at the
so.
time, I guess maybe it made sense.
Yeah.
Looking at Frank's team, on his bench, he went 3 for 7, which is a pretty high 429 average, but just one double, 3 RBIs, and one strikeout.
Okay.
None of it plays.
That's
In fact, he only had two players left on the bench all week, and that was Marcell Ozuna and Andrew Vaughn. Oh, on Tuesday and Wednesday, and that was it. That was his only benching for the whole week.
okay. All right.
So good on him.
Yeah. Keep it a short bench. I like it.
Yeah, he did only use 3 ads, 2 hitters, 1 reliever. Nothing really stood out. He dropped. He added Kiner Falefa, dropped him. He dropped Segura. Um, nothing really that really excited me for his ads this week. Which
Yeah.
again, I don't know if he just kind of said consolation bracket, here I come, or what he was trying to do here. But
Looks like he's
you
got
know,
some empty spots on his roster too, which is interesting going into the consolation bracket.
yeah. So
But I'm not sure he cares as much as,
probably not. I know he's got a lot on his plate. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah. Uh, we'll look at his key players here for his MVP. Going with Vaughn Grissom, another Braves rookie that's just tearing the cover off the ball. He went 7 for 19. That's a 368 average with a 400 on base, 3 runs, a homer, 4 RBIs, a steal, and 6 strikeouts. Um, his Cy Young, or his least valuable hitter rather, there's a few here. I'm giving it to Austin Riley because of the name and because he's a Brave.
Okay.
Yeah, he went 3 for 19 it's a 158 average, 261 on base, 3 runs, a homer, 2 RBIs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. But like Will Smith was terrible, Ian Happ was terrible. Um, it was just a rough week for Frank here. Even Profar was meh. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not a good week. Gene Segura was just okay. I mean, everybody did a little bit of something on this team
Yeah.
for the most part, but yeah,
Hey, all things considered, given where Frank ended up in eighth place, I'm sure he's not happy, but it must have been fun for him to have Michael Harris and Vaughn Grissom on his team in the stretch
yes,
run. Like, that's kind of fun for a Braves fan.
absolutely. Watching them do what they're doing in
Yeah.
real life and having it pay off on your fantasy team, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Not to mention Austin Riley too.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
yeah. On his pitching side, good bounce back week for Corbin Burns.
Yeah,
Been
finally.
getting the shit beaten out of him the last couple times out, but he met up with the Giants and gave him 8 innings, 1 win, 14 strikeouts, a 113 ERA, and a .38 WHIP. Yeah, solid comeback for Corbin Burns. You knew he wasn't gonna be down for long,
No.
and he showed it. So, for his Cy Young, again, he pitched really well. Frank did, so this was tough. I'm giving it to Dustin May, um, just because 5 innings, a homer, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, 5.40 ERA. Like that was the worst start like of the
Yeah.
week for
Yeah.
Frank.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, James Karinchak wasn't great. He had one bad outing, I guess, but he had 2 saves, so that's a great pickup.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, Dylan Tate is gonna get some saves here. So, uh, yeah. So I think we can put a bow on Mike Sherman's team, right?
Oh, true. Yep. Yes, we
Yeah.
can.
Let's see.
All right. So Mike Sherman had
He had the second overall pick, huh?
second overall pick, and he struck gold with Trey Turner.
Yep.
Lindor was a great pick.
Yep. Urias was fantastic.
Great. Rosarena has been really good.
And then Stanton.
And then Stan. Otani's been good. But here's your favorite pick. Round 7.
I knew it. This he's not good. He is not good. DJ LeMahieu is not good.
But there's a lot of misses here from round 7 all the way down to
Yeah,
round 12 or 13. This is,
yeah.
I think, where he kind of lost it.
Flaherty, Moncada, Ozuna, Clevenger, even Duvall. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Syndergaard was a nice sneaky pick at 13.
Yep.
And obviously McKenzie at 14 was a great pick.
Yeah, that was awesome. Colome was supposed to close, but never got that shot. Joey Bart, it was just too early for him. Ahmed Rosario is a really nice pick there, but he didn't hang on to him.
Yeah.
Everything else was kind of like a waste. But
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I liked, the last pick dart throw of Dylan Moore with all that eligibility. If he was going to play, like that would have been cool, but
yeah,
he never got much playing time there.
No.
And the Jesus Sanchez pick at 16 also could have been cool in that Marlins lineup. He just did not live up.
Nope, just didn't pan out.
No trades, which I guess is, he didn't really do a whole lot of moves altogether. I think he did only like a handful of trades all year or ads.
So let's take a look at his schedule here and see kind of how he fared. Where is his team? There it is. He went on this like 6-week, didn't take a loss streak here.
Right. And that's when we were saying, wow.
Yeah, we thought he was coming.
Yeah. And it was just too little too late, I guess.
Yeah, a little bit. And then he lost 4 in a row and ended the year in what, 15th?
15th, I believe, yeah.
15th place here. So kind of a lost season for Mike Sherman.
Yep. But
he's a staple in this league, like what can you say? Like he's
been here forever.
Been here forever. He's such a great guy. He's a great manager. He's won a championship in the bigs.
Yep.
This is another manager like Brian Lebo that like anytime I play him, I'm not going to take any of it for granted because he can beat you any week.
Right. Even when he's in 15th, he can come out and beat you because he's just such a good manager.
Yeah. So I look forward again to another year of competing with him next year. Hopefully he comes to the draft party again next year. That would be fun.
That was awesome. And, yes.
Yeah. And Sherman, keep fighting and see you next year.
Yes, sir.
That's off.
I think that leaves us with one matchup, sir.
One matchup left. Is it yours?
It is.
All right. So let's do it. So Jason, you take this week. Where are you? A 10-8 win over Bobby Russo. Close categories this week. You win by 1 RBI and 1 steal. Bobby wins by 4 runs, a triple, 3 walks by a batter, 2 home runs given up by a pitcher. You guys tied in doubles with 11, errors with 3, and saves with 3. On your bench this week, you went 4 for 16, which is a 250 average. 1 run, 1 double, 1 home run, 1 RBI, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. The 1 double would have won the category. It was 1 play, and it was Wednesday.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you know exactly what it was.
Yep. That was Mr. Carroll.
Yeah. So Corbin Carroll on the bench here. You got Manny Margot. I think it was 0 for 4. Oh, Margot and Schwarber combined 0 for 7 in center and left. So.
Corbin Carroll was going against Yu Darvish that night, so I was like, that sounds like strikeouts to me, and so much for that.
It was 1 play. That's all it was. This entire week. That's the 1 blunder you made. So I mean,
I'll take it.
Yeah. In total, you used 11 ads this week, 7 hitters, 3 starting pitchers, and 1 relief pitcher. Which was sort of an interesting spread for you. What were you
Well,
chasing on the hitting side to add 7 hitters?
honestly, to be honest with you, I didn't really know what Bobby's interest level in this matchup was.
Okay.
Uh, because I think for like till like Wednesday or Thursday or something like that, he only had like 5 innings or something like that. So I was trying to wonder. I was starting to wonder, like, is he even gonna make the minimum? And
Yeah.
I had already reached the minimum by then, and
Right.
so I was like, well, I don't really need to. I feel like I don't really need to focus too much on my pitching. So I was just adding hitters to try and find something to work offensively because
Yeah.
I knew I didn't have to really chase innings, and his ERA pitching that he did have pitching was terrible, so his ERA
Right.
was really high. So like I felt like I didn't need to focus on fine tuning the pitching. I was trying to find some relievers, trying to find a save here or there, but otherwise I really didn't need to focus on the pitching too much.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And then he went on that adding starting pitcher spree, which we'll talk about in a second. But let's wrap up your week here with some of your notable ads. First of all, Young or Josh Jung. How do you
I'm
pronounce his
calling him
name?
junk because that just sounds junky.
Yeah, I like Jung. Which was I thought was a really savvy pickup. Zach Britton, who you have stashed, should be back soon. Taiwan Walker, we mentioned earlier, who gave you a great start. Your drops to me were the most notable because you dropped Kybert Ruiz, Chris
Yep.
Bryant, Eduardo Rodriguez, Whit Merrifield.
Yeah. So Kyber Ruiz has swollen testicles. Um,
Oh, does he? Okay.
He does, yeah. So to me that sounds like not a good problem to have. So,
No.
uh, he took a foul tip in a sensitive area and
Oh,
was headed
wow.
went to the hospital, and he has a testicular contusion. Uh, Nationals aren't playing for anything. I can't be sure that he's coming back.
Wow.
Um, he's got more important things to worry about right now. So,
His balls,
uh,
yeah.
yeah. So, I wasn't prepared to stash him again, especially knowing that I would be being the consolation bracket. My roster's going to be frozen. I can't have guys that are I'm not sure if they're coming back. Same
Yeah.
reason why I dropped Chris Bryant because it doesn't sound like he's coming back. There hasn't been any kind of real legitimate update on him. He's probably not coming back for the rest of the year. Why
Yeah.
would he?
No.
Um, Eduardo Rodriguez with Merrifield
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
garbage. Eduardo Rodriguez was the rough one, but I needed to clear a space for Zach Britton
Yeah.
uh, because the hope is to kind of really shore up the bullpen for the rest of this consolation bracket.
Yeah.
And I think Britton, with the state of the Yankees bullpen, if he comes back, maybe he gets into some high leverage spots. Um,
Yeah. I
so
could see
so I had to drop somebody. I really liked where my pitching was, so it was tough to drop Eduardo, but I think he's facing Houston next, and I wasn't even going to start him for that. I wouldn't start him for that matchup anyway. So
Yeah.
I was like, I'll just drop him.
Yeah, he pitched tonight and took the loss and
Mm.
5 innings.
There
He
you go.
didn't pitch very well. So, and he's pitching against the White Sox over the weekend. So, I don't
Yeah,
think it's very favorable starts.
it was either going to be him or Matt Manning to go, and I held on to Manning because he's been there for most of the year. Eduardo missed a bunch of times, so
Okay.
we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see how it pans out. I had a Kyber Ruiz framing his balls joke all set up and I lost it. So I
Sounds like a pass ball to me.
yeah. Good one. All right, key players for you, Jason. On the offensive side, let's go back into your matchup totals here. We're gonna highlight once again. This is actually kind of tough because Seiya Suzuki had a good week. But once again, we're gonna highlight Jeff McNeil, who goes 8 for 23 with a 348 average, 393 on base, 3 runs, a double, 6 RBIs, 2 steals, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. Just did a little bit of everything.
Yep.
Least valuable player based on the name. We're gonna go Corey Seager here. We had a few other options, but Seager didn't really come through. He goes 4 for 25 with a 160 average, 222 on base, 3 runs, a double, 2 RBIs, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts. Your Cy Young, the pitching side, we talked about him earlier. Taijuan Walker, 7 innings, a win, 1 home run, 10 strikeouts, a 1.29 ERA, and a .71 WHIP.
He again, Costas had dropped him, because he did have a couple of rough starts,
Yeah.
here in August, but like it was against the Braves and the Yankees and the Dodgers. Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna struggle against those teams.
Yeah.
But now he's got the Marlins and the Pirates, and I think they have another series against the Nationals or something. They have the easiest schedule in baseball the rest of the way.
Yeah.
I'll take a chance on him. Sure.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
And I don't think he was Costas' Cy Young, but again, that would be a fun,
Yeah.
fascinating. Your Cy Young, on the other hand, will be a man named J.P. Sears, who threw 2 innings.
Close, just like Sears Roebuck.
Yeah. Yep. Close. 2 innings, a loss, 3 home runs, a walk, 2 strikeouts, 27 ERA, and a 4.50 WHIP. Whoever this Hall guy, DL Hall,
Yeah.
only threw a third of an inning, so I wasn't gonna fault you for that. But his 81 WHIP was not pretty. But yeah, JP Sears, that outing was against, was it the White Sox? Who was it? Yeah,
It was against the White Sox, which was a risky move, but like I figured like he pitched well against Baltimore the previous start. Like maybe this kid's for real. Nope, not so much.
Yeah, no, not in that start.
No.
Yeah, so those are your key players here. Let's move over to Bobby for now, wrap him up.
Yep.
So Bobby on his bench goes 2 for 6. That is a 333 average. Awful. A run, a stolen base, 2 walks, and 1 strikeout. It all came on one day because other than this one day of the week, Bobby had nothing on his bench. So the one day was Tuesday, and it was 2 players on his bench, with mysteriously 2 empty roster spots in his
Yes,
lineup.
and I feel like this is like the second or third week in a row that he's done this.
Yeah.
To start a week, and again, this is another indication that I was like, I don't know if he's into this matchup or not,
Right.
because of that.
Yeah. No, I get it. When you have third base and utility open, and you have a third baseman and a utility player on your bench, like, it seems easy enough, right?
I mean, pieces are there.
Yeah, the pieces are there, but that's it. Like the bare minimum pieces were there this week. He had no extra hitters on this team. He had 0 flexibility. The 1 stolen base, the Ke'Bryan Hayes stolen base, actually would have won that category.
Yep.
So probably should have played him. Bobby used 7 ads this week. All 7 were starting pitchers, and all ads were used Friday or later.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's like he woke up Friday morning, went, "Oh yeah, I got a matchup.
Yeah.
I better find some pitching."
Yeah.
Like that's what it seemed like. Again, I don't know what his interest level or what was going on. I didn't talk to him. I don't know what was happening, but that's what it looked like.
Yeah, he was at I was looking at the total. He was at 17 innings going into Friday. With the players that he had on his team, he only had, I think, 1 or 2 starters lined up for the weekend.
Yeah.
So I remember saying, like, unless he makes a move, there's no chance of him making the minimum. And he goes on to add 7 very mediocre starters. He got good starts from Drew Smyly and Mitch Keller. He got bad starts from Eric Fetty, Chase Anderson, and Trevor Richards. Richards was supposed to just be an opener, but got kind of beat up in his start.
Or
hold on, where is it here?
We got 2 outs.
He got 2 outs. Trevor Richards. Yep.
Yeah.
Not good. Chase Anderson, not good. JT Brubaker was fine. Jose Urania was fine. But
Yeah, he was definitely scraping the bottom of the barrel to
yes, he
find
was.
some innings. Yeah.
Yes, he was. Some of some of his key players this week. His MVP. How we've come full circle here, Jason. His MVP is Eduardo Escobar,
Yes, it is.
who finishes the week 12 for 22, which is a 545 average, 565 on base, 6 runs, a double, 3 homers, 5 RBIs, a walk, and 3 strikeouts.
He's been on fire.
He has been on fire. Good for him for turning it around. His least valuable player could have given it here to Carson Kelly, but based on name alone, I'm going with Mookie Betts, who finishes the week 4 for 22, which is a 182 average, a 333 on base. 5 runs and 3 doubles is fine, but no production elsewhere. No steals, no homers, no RBIs. 4 walks, 2 strikeouts, and an error. Cy Young is already, we talked about Drew Smyly, which kind of sucks that like that's your best pitcher here, but we are going to go with Drew Smyly, 7 innings, a win, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts, nothing earned, and an 0.43 whip. That was against the Giants on Friday. Mitch Keller, like I said, had a good start. Brandon Woodruff had a great start too. But again, Drew Smyly didn't give up anything, so got to give it to him.
And he literally picked him up off the heap pile. And
yes, yeah. I'm going to give Cy Young to his entire bullpen and Eric Petty. So
yeah,
I mean, look at Ian Kennedy, Kyle Finnegan, Ronaldo Lopez. Clase got 3 saves, but still gave up a good amount of stuff. Trevor Richards, Jake Diekman wasn't good. Yimi Garcia wasn't good. Like his whole bullpen was a disaster, and Eric Fetty was bad too.
and that's what I think it was on was it Tuesday? Tuesday, like he had Brandon Woodruff on the bench, and I get it, he's pitching in Coors Field, but he had Brandon Woodruff on the bench, but Ian Kennedy and Ronaldo Lopez were terrible, and so this is where when Thursday and Friday came and he's at 17 innings and his ERA is in the stratosphere, this is why.
Yeah, it makes sense. And when you have only 3 starting pitchers and you're going to purposefully bench one of them, you're not going to make the minimum unless you add garbage, which he had.
I mean, I again, this is I wasn't sure if he meant to or if he just didn't care. Because I mean, yes, I could see maybe benching him in Coors Field, maybe as a strategy play, but also as Brandon Woodruff. I think you kind of start him everywhere.
Yeah, agreed 100%. And that's what we talked about with Bryce Harper earlier. Like there are some guys you just they're matchup proof.
Exactly.
All right, so Bobby and you, let's take a look at what you guys are doing next. Jason, you are playing James McCloskey in the first round of the consolation bracket. And the other matchup in the first round is Bobby versus Josh. So you and Bobby both are playing in this first round. You're going to be active in the first round of the consolation. So we'll see how it works out here. McCloskey's not an easy task.
No, but I faced him a few weeks ago and I kind of handed it to him. So
yeah,
we'll see what this frozen roster can do for me.
yeah, we'll see. And I think that'll wrap up our matchups for this week. If you want to get into managers of the week, we can do that.
Let's do it. Let's wrap this up.
All right. So, Jason, who is your? Oh, I can stop sharing. Who is your number 3 manager of the week?
So this was tough this week because
it was
right, because we had a lot of close matchups and a lot of upsets. And I mean, the Matt versus Christian was the biggest margin of victory, and by 4 categories. So it was a lot of close matchups here. My number 3, I'm going with Casas here. He upset the number 1 team. Even if it was only 11-10, he beat the number 1 team. Feather in your cap. Good job, Casas. Congrats to you.
Yeah, I gotta go Casas as well. You took it right out of my mouth. He beat Chris Levy. He's the 14th seed, but he proved to us one more time he's for real. So good for
Absolutely.
you, Costas. All right, Jason, who's your number two?
My number two, again, I just mentioned that the biggest victory margin of victory goes to Matt Losey. I can't ignore that. He took care of Christian. Again, I don't know what Christian was doing this week, but he made sure that Christian was not going to be in the playoffs. Matt Losey is my number two manager of the week.
All right. Hey, congrats, Matt. I'm not going to give it to Matt for the reasons I mentioned earlier, in that I think that Christian could have done a little bit better here.
True.
I am going to give the number two manager of the week to my opponent this week, so Ben Nisman. He was really nervous going into this last week. He didn't think he was going to make the playoffs. His brother was a game ahead of him. And he did exactly, no more, but no less of exactly what he had to do to ensure his spot in the playoffs and to inch up to that 5 seed. Just to get a better seeding position. So I give Ben a lot of credit for doing that against a good manager.
Absolutely, absolutely. And before I get to my number one, I don't know if we want to do this or if we want to make this a thing, but I am gonna reveal my manager of the regular season.
Oh, okay.
Because we have reached 21 weeks, the regular
Yes, we
season's
have.
over. I'm gonna name my manager of the regular season, and I'm giving that to you, sir. Because
Really?
yes, because Chris and Joe, they've been at top of the standings the entire year. But I look at your schedule and what you had to overcome. Like, you got off to a really rough start, and I remember at one point you were down, in the 12th spot or something like that, and you've clawed and fought your way back, and here you are in the fourth seed. Yeah, you put together a Mike Haber kind of season. So congrats to you, and good luck to you in the rest of the way.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. I feel like in some ways this was a more fun year for me than last year.
I can see that.
Because last year there was just so much pressure going into the playoffs. Like if I have a regular season like that where I never lose more than 9 stats in a week, like ever, I better win the championship. And I was
Right.
knocked out in the semis. I didn't even make it to the championship. Like, this was a more fun year because I actually had to like push and scratch and claw, and it was kind of fun to do that. So
And just watching your wheels turn week after week, was just really fun to watch.
thank you. I appreciate that. Did you have a number one manager of this week?
I do,
Okay.
and it is the man you just referred to. It is our commissioner. It is the
Awesome.
reigning champ, and it is Ben Nisman. Because just for the reason you said, I know how nervous he was. Not even just coming into this matchup, not even just literally this past week, but over the last several weeks, he was throwing furniture and he was yelling and he was, you know, he was not a happy person, and
Yeah.
we all knew that he was going to be just fine because he's Ben Nisman,
Yeah.
and here he is, not even just barely made it. He's in the fifth seed.
Yeah.
He's in there. So he did what he had to do. He took care of Josh, and stamped his ticket into the playoffs. So Ben, good luck to you. Love you, and hope you do well this playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah. Agree 100%. My number one manager of the week is gonna go to Brian Lebo.
Mm.
Number one because he beat the number 3 seed Jimmy 11-8, but also like I just give this guy so much credit. He loves this league so much. He loves playing every single like matchup, every single day. He embraces it. And the fact that like he changed his team name to Good Luck Gents Love the Bigs, like what a class act this guy is. And like he
He's
didn't make
amazing.
it, but he still loves it, and he still is like rooting for us to have a good time. And I have to give him my number one manager of the week for that.
Brian Lebo, like if there was a spirit champion of the league, I think it would have to be Brian Lebo without a doubt. He
Yeah,
is he is the spirit champion of the bigs.
I love that. I love Spirit Champion. We got
Yeah,
to make that a thing too.
I
Uh,
like it.
my number one manager of the season. I really appreciate all the things you said about me. I don't think I'm deserving. I think that Chris Levy, what he put together, I know it's the easy pick because he's our top seed, but he's the only manager that's over 100 games, over 500.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a doubt in my mind after the draft. Like, this guy drafted incredibly from the beginning of the year. He's had a rough couple of years in our league, but here he is, like, putting a stake and his stamp on the 2022 season. There's no guarantee that he's going to win it. I know that all too well, but I give him so much credit for what he's done to, like, in the face of adversity, and like, man, he's never shown his face on this show. Like, me and Ben and Joe are like in the playoffs, and Jimmy Dunlap and Ari's there, who's been there for years. But like, here comes Chris Levy. I'm gonna take first place this year, guys. Hope you're okay with that. So
And not even just take it by storm.
take it by
he just
storm.
yeah, like overthrowing Joe at the top. Yeah, there's no question that Chris has had absolute incredible season, and
Yeah.
like he's been an absolute juggernaut, and I think he's gonna go very far into these playoffs.
Yeah. 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 I hope he wins. I'm rooting for him. If it's not me, I'm rooting for him. So yeah. All right, I think that'll do it, Jason.
I think it will. This has been fun. It's been wild, and dude, I like these next couple weeks watching the playoffs is going to be truly amazing.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to be playing. I'm going for that top consolation seed, and I'm rooting for you to bring it on home. So
Thank you. Thank you. Hopefully I'm at the top of the champion and you're at the top of the consolation.
I'll take it.
That is
I'll
the
take it.
deal. All right. You want to sign us
Oh,
off?
it has been real,
And it has been fun.
and it is always real fun in the pigs.
Good night,
We'll see you
everyone.
next.